Oogie. Mike?
Hello. We the first ones?
Yes.
Wow, I thought I was going to be late. The meeting starts at 6:30, right?
The Zoom starts at 6:30. The meeting itself starts at 7.
Oh, okay. Then I see I get packing you guys mixed up. Sometimes I think it's one 6:30 and one 7, I think. So you're 7 and yeah, anyway, we're on.
We're on.
So, yes, sir. Wow, I'm surprised. I'm surprised there isn't. I'm felt like I was late.
When we met in person, we always opened the doors at 6:30, so
Okay. Yeah.
we could mingle
Yeah.
with business.
Yeah. Well, 6:30 is right after dinner, so some people a little slow getting around too.
Yeah.
So, so how many more weeks before you go back to Vermont now? Probably a week or two.
Well, like half a week. I leave Friday.
Yeah.
I leave this Friday.
Yeah. Everybody's getting busy. It's going to be a fast summer with everybody making up for visits they didn't get in last year or whatever.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, so you see the email from Jim that he just posted here not very long ago about the
Um,
Carver um, grant?
I haven't gotten any email from him.
No. Okay. I thought maybe he had sent something out, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure he'll bring up what he knows at when he
Oh, he
gets
will. Yeah.
tuned in.
Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, but I talked to a concrete guy today, and he's supposed to email me a formal bid on the concrete. So
Hmm.
I talked to him. He did my back patio about 3 or 4 years ago. He had good equipment. He does road work and all kinds of concrete work. And he was telling me some of the requirements that might we might have to make sure that we're in county uh, rights, legally put it in so we don't, so that if we put it in, we're doing it to the specifications of the county. But he said, being in Clinton County, he says, you get away with a lot more in Clinton than you can in Scott County. And we're just over the line. So,
It's that complicated county boundary out there that's
yeah, right. So,
county
but he,
boundary, county affiliation, county
yeah,
administration.
yeah, it's something like if we do this, we're under Scott County, but yet legally the line is right there, just south of the Wapsie area there. I mean, it's probably only a few hundred feet south of Minky. And I didn't know it was that close. So, yeah,
As me, they made it more complicated than it needs to be.
yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, see, years ago, guys started going out and buying land outside the city, and they're putting pole barns up for either um, storage or shops out. And the county finally said, "Hey, wait a minute, we got to put some laws on this." And see, if you own a farm, I think you can only have one time that you can kind of reallocate your land to certain kind of buildings because they didn't want the whole countryside popping up with pole barns everywhere. So that's what that was all about. That started, 20, 30 years ago. So, but anyway, so nothing's going on at the college much right now.
Those days when I go in to work, I'm often the only one there.
Really? Yeah. Huh. So Mike Umbrero, is he even around? He's might be still.
I
He,
haven't seen him or heard from him in months.
yeah. I'm hoping we pick up a few more members again because we've kind of lost a few members. Paul's leaving. Um, we gain a couple and then we lose one or two too. So, but, and I haven't seen much of Cecil. I was talking to Steve Van Hecky yesterday, and I couldn't go out today, but he was indicating about getting out to the roll off to continue with the drive set up on the 20-inch. And so we could continue on with getting that operational. And I'm excited about looking through that at the new location. I think that, visually you can see a lot more. And when the public comes, I think you can actually see more. And I know I was impressed when Craig Cox took and showed me what it could do there when it was at Sherman Park here a year ago or so.
Yes.
So, and then if Cecil comes through with that 30-inch, that'll be interesting. I've never seen it, but hopefully it's in decent condition, and we can that big aperture, you should be able to see quite a bit.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Kind of be neat to know that we got one of the biggest telescopes in the area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even with the 20-inch too, and you're 14, and um, I think there's some good things ahead.
Careful, we might start to get optimistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Jim will have some good news for us. I just have a good feeling tonight. So we'll soon see. So yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, I haven't heard anything from Jim. Stacy called me from St. Ambrose saying that Jim was trying to get a hold of me, and I've been home a lot, and I always get all my phone calls. So I reconnected with my email and everything over a week ago, and I even tried to call Jim, but I left a message, but I don't know. I on your observatory plans out there, and I had a bunch of suggestions for him to really update it so that when we build the new roll off, that we match the siding up and get rid of a lot of that rotten wood on those two buildings, because those two buildings, especially the roll off, it's really in bad shape, Dr. Mitchell. And
I know. Yeah. Did you get the email? You were trying to connect with Jim Hannon or
right,
Dave
right.
Mercia. Yes. Did you get the email? I got that. Did you get the email reply I sent?
Yeah, I did see something to that effect, and that's about the time Stacy called me, who must be a secretary there underneath, or answers the phone and takes care of some of that. Some Stacy called me. It was over a week ago, and she said that Jim was trying to get a hold of me, and I said, "Well, I've been home and I take my calls." So I also gave her my email address to try to make these connections. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think I have some great advice, and if I'm willing to paint it, and I can get the paint at Sherwin-Williams because I'm a contractor, so I get maximum discount, 35, 40% off of good paint. And we use that cement board siding. Believe me, it'll outlast us and the next generation. You'll never, and it's strong stuff. It'll take hail. It's not like wood. It's a composite type of material. It's been used in the last 10, 15 years. And then use the PVC corner boards and stuff like that. So, I mean, I have a vision that it could really be made to look very nice. And I don't think it would cost Ambrose a whole lot of money, but I don't know what their budgets are.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around house building my whole life, so um, I kind of know what's in the end, and I don't think that cement board would be that expensive either. And I don't know about aluminum siding and vinyl siding. I'm not a real fan of it. I think the cement board horizontal siding would be a lot stronger, more durable. If they hit it, bang into it with the mower of the mowing handle or something, it's not going to put a big dent in it or something like that. If it is, it's easy fix too.
Hmm.
So, but I can envision what it could look like, and it could look outstanding. And really, Dr. Mitchell, that dome is really getting in bad shape on the outside. It really needs to be sanded all down, primed, and I say put a semi-gloss paint on it, because I was looking at other observatory domes online, and a lot of them have the semi-gloss, and oh my gosh, I can't believe how good they look. I mean, yours is really getting tattered looking. So,
Hmm.
I mean, I know what stuff can look like, and if they follow my input, I guarantee you I won't lead them down the wrong road.
We can send if you can send these to the board also, well, so we can have
Yeah, you mean
have a list of what needs to be done.
QCAS board or the St. Ambrose board?
Board at qcastro.org.
Okay, yeah, yeah, and I don't know what and I was out to Menards here the other day. I should have asked to see, and it comes in different widths. If you're used to seeing horizontal siding, that's basically what it is with an imprinted like wood grain in it, and it comes, I think, in like 4, 8, or 12-inch wide. Um, so, but yeah, if you redid the siding and I painted it and did the dome, but that dome isn't going to be the easiest thing to get up on. But if you look at the actual shutter that moves up and down next time you're out there, look at how dungy that's getting to look. And then also one of the edges on the dome that slides up, the felt is kind of coming apart on it too. It's you can see it. It's real evident. And I don't
The
know.
lining's coming loose.
Yeah, yeah, that kind of keeps weather out too.
It's happened before.
Yeah, and I don't know if Ash Dome can resupply that and we can sheet metal screw that in, or how it goes. But once I get up there, I could find out.
Yeah, I don't remember how it was done the last time.
Yeah. So yeah, well, like I said, if we do the new building, it'd be nice if they all looked uniformly together. And then when they take pictures for promoting your school, the college, somebody that's going into astrophysics or astronomy or something, they see those pictures and they'll say, wow, even though a lot of students don't take that subject, I mean, I think they're more business and different things like that at Ambrose, but anybody that's interested, that's not going to look shabby out there. Let me tell you, it's going to look pretty darn nice. So, if they follow my advice, I wouldn't lead you wrong.
Excuse me.
Yeah. And I don't know if you look at the classroom building, they put new casing around the doors out there sometime in the last year or two. And when they put that on, I looked at it when I was out there one of those last nights I was out there, and it's like they had torque bits and screws, which you should use, but they put way too many screws in that wood trim. They only needed one in the top, middle, and down below, and then use some galvanized nails that you can sink real nice and spackle them up, make them real smooth, and you don't even know there's anything there. They just kind of slammed it in, and that isn't my type of custom work. You know, I'm not knocking the workers there, but that didn't look real appealing what they did. It was better than rotten wood. I'm sure that's why they did it, but it just, it's like they sewed it on, and it's not going to come off with a few less anchors in it. So, but boy, everybody was behind tonight. I figured there'd be some people on.
Did you get the link reminder I sent yesterday?
Yeah, there was a bunch of things. I got so much on the email for the Zoom meeting. Yeah, I got it.
Tonight's meeting. You did? Okay, good. So
Yeah.
that's how I send it to everybody.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes it'll say launch the meeting or allow, and I had to go back and I had to download because maybe I lost the Zoom download. And then you also got to hit accept. You got to read through their agreement, you know, terms and all that. And I hit agree, and it took me an extra minute or two to get on tonight. But you know, if I could figure it out, a lot of other people should be able to. So, yeah, I would think some people would be starting to show up. Huh. Because usually Jeff, he's always right on time too. I mean, he's usually early, I think. You and I didn't have any trouble.
No.
Yeah, I had the link.
Yeah. But then I had to sign in because I'm the administrator of this.
Right. You want me to call Jim and see if he's tried, or he just isn't there? You want me to wait till 10 till, or in fact, I'm usually late. Most people, I mean, since you're the president now, when do people usually start showing up the last 2 or 3 meetings online?
Oh, until usually close to 7.
Okay, well, let's give them a couple more minutes, and I could call Jim. So yeah, I don't know.
I just checked my email. Jim and Jason have been emailing each other about 10 minutes ago.
Okay. Yeah. You see this clock behind me, this map?
I did notice that.
That's a geochron. I was over in Switzerland skiing in '93 with my ultralight flying buddy when I flew airplanes with. And they had that in the lobby of the ski resort. And I says, wow, where'd you get that? And they said, oh, it's Redwood City, California. Tag was on it. They said, that comes from where you live over in America. I said, oh yeah. And so I got a hold of them when I got back home. They wanted about $1,400 for that. It's a moving map. The map is always moving, but you can see this always keeps changing as it's going across every day now. See, we're the longest day. So it's lighter in the northern hemisphere, and here's the sun at the farthest point, and now it'll start its trek back to the first day of fall, and then the first day of winter here, and then it'll look like a bell instead of an inverted bell.
Yes.
But every day this starts just slowly goes on first day of fall, first day of spring, it's straight up and down. So I didn't buy it right away because I thought, $1,400 back in '93, and I still wanted it about 2 years later, and I had the money, so I finally ordered it and bought it. tells you the times up at the very top and where the lines are of the terminator lines and all that. It's kind of neat.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. I have people that I know around the world, and I'll say, well, they're going to bed now, or it's getting dark. Israel's going to start fighting with Hamas or whatever, you know. So, yeah.
Don't look now. Don't look now, Mike, but we're not alone anymore.
Oh, yeah. I see that. They're showing up good. I'm going to put myself on hide for a little bit here. I'm got to dabble a little bit in a little food here.
Uh-huh.
So,
Londo, Sam, Jason.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Well,
Yeah.
it's a
Deep
deep
subject.
subject. Anyway, when do you think it's going to be the first time we're going to meet in person, Robert?
Actually, you just yeah. I was just thinking of that, and Ambrose sent us an email a few days ago with updated updated policies for visitors, and I can share that during the meeting.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that's
well,
fine.
one of those important things is all visitors are still required to check in at a designated location on campus.
Oh, that's going to put a dent on people showing up.
This-
Because
none
it's
of
probably in a
none of
place.
the
You
locations
probably
are
need
near
to check.
McCarthy. Yeah, that might.
Yeah, you probably need to check somewhere that is not close to where we meet anyway.
Let's just see. What is it? 6 check-in locations.
Well, maybe
It's
there's
like
one at the
the
security
closest
there.
one. The closest to McCarthy is in the Galvin Fine Arts.
That's like on the other corner.
How about the Village Inn?
Oh, meeting at the Village Inn.
Yeah, heck yes.
he wants a
Pie.
pie.
But that's only on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, right.
Oh, well.
Free pie night, Wednesday night.
Well, I'm asking because Jim asked me if we were going to meet in person today, and I say I didn't think it was available yet, but
Not
I guess
yet.
it is if you go and check in, right?
I don't.
Yep,
Yeah,
visitors still have to check in.
Yeah. So what do they check in for? Like, if you've been vaccinated or if you're wearing a mask or what? I don't know. It almost seems.
Well, if you're well, I'll show this all during the meeting.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, you don't have to repeat. That's
Like a
okay.
full page there. Hey, Rusty.
Greetings.
everybody freeze to death today.
It was
After
nice
that-
and chilly this morning. I liked it.
Oh man, it was like fantastic. Air was clean.
Oh. I think Jeff is asking for a link to the meeting tonight because he didn't get it.
He's always having trouble with that email. His email getting club
Yeah,
messages for a
and,
long time now.
He sent it to QC Astro, so as soon as you read it, it'll probably go away. Well, I don't know. I don't even see it.
There's sounds like Jim didn't get one either. All right, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
I just forwarded him my link.
And so did I. So that works. We've noticed that with the board email group, that some of us, if we open up an email sent to the board, it removes it from the board server so nobody else can get at it. I wonder if the members group has a similar problem.
No, it's a little bit different because it's a mailbox versus a mailing list. So that wouldn't happen for members.
Hmm. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, the first time we get together, we need to fix your email, Robert. Figure out how to keep your email client from removing the email from the server. I don't know if anybody else has that problem. I think
I believe it's just Robert.
I don't know if anybody else, like Jim or something, has it, but I can tell. Uh-oh.
Dan.
Hello,
QC.
Dan. Looks like you're frozen.
Max Headroom.
Raise your hand, everybody who got that reference.
Max Headroom? Is that what somebody said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. That's late 80s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Late 80s MTV, wasn't it?
On regular TV. It was on like
Was it regular TV?
Fox or.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the guy who played that character, is it still alive? I thought he died.
I don't know.
Matt Frewer.
Yeah. Let's see.
He's still alive.
He still is. Yeah.
There's Jim.
Hello.
Where's Jeff? I just emailed the link to him.
Evening, guys. How's everybody doing?
Hello.
While we're waiting, Dr. Mitchell, I have a question for you.
Yeah, Ron?
Yeah. Being the new guy, is Menke open? Can you go out at any point in time, or do they close that at night?
So if you just want to go out there on your
Yeah.
own,
Yeah, if I need someplace dark to go.
you'd should ask at the Wapsie River Center first if you're just going out there on the spur of the moment.
Oh, okay. Right.
I can give you if you want their phone numbers. You want their phone
Yeah,
number?
I'll let you know, but I like I said, I hadn't really heard whether that was, they closed it down or if they patrolled it or if they kept track of who was there or not. So,
They try to.
yeah, that's good. I'll let you know if I need the phone number.
Okay.
Well, the ideal thing is if you send an email out to the club, because maybe somebody else wants to go with you. We recommend to have at least 2 people there,
Okay.
rather than being
Yep.
by yourself.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. Right. Hope Jeff is getting his emails.
Yeah,
I
I don't
just
know what
saw
happened.
also,
Jeff specifically told me he didn't want me using that old Gmail address anymore.
Yep.
Hmm.
that was John. John Wolf calling.
Hmm. I could try texting him, but it would take me forever to figure out how to paste the Zoom link into that. Oh, that's not that fixed. What do we lose?
I'm gonna have you turn that down just a little bit. I'm gonna be part of this astronomy club meeting and get some money, I guess. So there we go. You can have a little bit of noise, just that.
Hmm. Getting it?
Oh,
There.
there's Jeff.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Okay, Matt also didn't get the link.
Uh,
And I
I'll
can, so yeah, I've never gotten anything. I sent out something to the board tonight and never did get a reply back from anybody either.
uh,
So can we just manually do a distribution group and send it out? And I'm going to put it on Facebook.
hang on a minute.
No problem.
There, I'm using my own mailing list
Yeah.
for my work account. I can't promise that it's been updated.
Well, we can only do the best we can do. So
Got Matt. It's got Matt. It's got. Looks like it's got. Okay, here goes.
Bit of time. So we'll see how it turns out. You know what I'm saying?
While you're doing that, I'm gonna wait for this thing to.
Well, there's Matt.
Steve and Paul. Oh, there's Matt. Okay.
Mhm.
So how many of you got it through the members list? Did anybody? Hi, Dan. How are you doing?
What was the question, Jeff?
Doing good.
If any of you guys got the link when it's sent to the members distribution group.
I did.
I did, but it always goes into my junk mail folder, and I can't make it not do that for some reason.
Mine doesn't go to my junk folder or to the trash. And I did a search for them tonight too. So
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's a little bit. You know, it's got one more. It's got 2 more minutes on it. So I'm going to have you just go ahead and just take something.
Mike Dannenfeld, who do you
Yeah.
have for your email? Who's your service provider?
MediaCom.
Okay. And I don't remember who Matt had.
You took the whole thing.
So my AL didn't get it. Mike's MediaCom didn't get it. Sam, who do you have? In Rolando?
I've got MediaCom and I got it.
I got MediaCom.
So I went into my settings and I looked at spam and my people that I've got in spam, and it's not in there either. I mean, you know, the addresses that I blocked that are auto blocked, it's not in there.
I got the link, but I seem to have to do some different things tonight. I mean, usually I have to download it, the Zoom deal. I had to hit agree to the terms, service terms, and it seemed like I had to do a few more gyrations to get on, but I just kind of kept trying different things that it was throwing at me, and pretty soon I got on.
Yeah, it depends on whether you select to use the application or use your browser.
Mhm.
That other piece of meat that goes with,
The non-fillets.
Yeah.
All right.
So what Steve do we have?
Oh,
Wait, John.
So Jeff, just
I'm gonna
FYI,
be
I figured
I'm gonna
my-
be a fly on the wall.
Okay, what's Steve? Is that Van Hefty?
And hefty.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, Matt, I'm sorry I missed what you were saying.
No, it's all good. Because it came from the website, it got stuck into updates. So it wasn't in my main Gmail inbox. So if anyone else didn't see it and knows they're on the member list and they're using Gmail, check into that.
Yeah, I use AOL and I didn't get it. And Mike Dannenfeld's using MediaCom and he didn't get it. Rolando did get it. And he's using MediaCom.
Okay, so bottom line, I'm not using the QC Astro lists anymore until further notice.
Okay. Can we go into the QC, our website and make a new distribution list? I mean, get the list of names so we each can build our own distribution group then? Just to make sure that we've got everybody on there, because I know we've got some new members that might not be in older ones.
Hmm.
I'll see if I can nose around and get the membership list, Dr. Mitchell, and if I can find that, I'll send it to you to save you the time.
Hey,
Good.
Jeff, to clarify that, it's not the website per se that handles that distribution list. It's Jason.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the member list might not be on the website yet, really, kinda.
So the deal with, I mean, there's a list of everybody who has logins to the website. I have no idea if that list is accurate at this point. I guess I could go in there and see if there's a way to just get the list, to export the list. I've never tried to do that.
I can export all the users on the website. The ones on the mailing list, I believe, is a list that came from either Jeff or Sam.
And I know we've made some updates because some people have paid and some have not. And I thought we had a couple new members just this year that should be added in there.
Yeah, the only reason mine wasn't in my main inbox is because I get so many things from, like, updates from the website itself that they just get categorized now into actually promotions now that I'm looking at it, which is really goofy. I guess I got to screw around with that in my Gmail.
Okay, I'll use my computer rather than my smartphone and dig around in my AOL and see if I can see any reason why it would be messed up there. I did that once before and I couldn't find anything that looked like it should block anything from any place. And I've got all kinds of clubs I belong to and all sorts of distribution lists I get, so, or that I'm part of. So I don't know. But anyway, maybe this can be one item on our next board meeting, rather than take up club members' time on that.
I'll make a note of it.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Robert.
Fix this or on the mailing list for members to make their own. All right. Let's see, where am I doing that here? All right. Okay, then, this meeting is called to disorder. So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Superb,
Okay.
thanks to Jim.
Doing good.
All right. So,
We're doing roofs next, so
was, where, who, when? Okay, so one item I want to bring up first is some of the members have been asking when we will be able to meet in person again. First, is the general consensus that we'd like to meet in person at St. Ambrose as we did before the pandemic started? Because if that is the case, then Ambrose recently sent us a memo of updated policies for visitors, and I'm gonna share that on the screen here. Okay, everybody seeing this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this was just updated last week, and so the first sign is the most important one. All visitors must check in once they arrive on campus at a designated location on campus. So in other words, we still won't be able to just drop in on the McCarthy Hall where we usually meet. And so, see, upon check-in, visitors should be made aware of the updated policy. If they indicate they are not vaccinated, they must undergo a health screen, which, if I remember, would involve a temperature check and perhaps a few questions. All visitors were not full. So if you are vaccinated, I assume you'd need to indicate that when you check in. If you are fully vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask anywhere on campus. You don't have to social distance, but only if you're not fully vaccinated. And the check-in locations are here. So at the Admissions Welcome Center, Rogalski Center. So as you can see here, there's no check-in at McCarthy itself. The closest building would be the Galvin Fine Arts Center. So how would the general membership feel about having to check in at one of these locations before going to McCarthy for an in-person meeting?
May I speak?
Go ahead.
A couple questions. First, how do you prove you're vaccinated? And second, will all these places be open at 7 o'clock on a Monday evening in the summer, or will only some of them be? Where do you? There's 6, but are they all going to be available at any given time, or?
It unfortunately doesn't say here. I'd have to ask.
Yeah.
Contact.
What about the vax? Is it all the honor system when it comes to say, yeah, I'm vaccinated? Nobody. How do you prove it or disprove it?
As far as I know, it's the honor system. But I will double check that when I will double check that.
All right.
Any other questions?
Have we made any effort, if we're going to do this, to do hybrid style meetings like the Popular Astronomy Club is doing?
We did indicate at the start of there was a consensus at the start of this pandemic that we would like to continue offering
Well, how's your dinner?
remote attendance.
Pretty good.
meetings
Half
in
the thing.
addition to in-person.
Half of this and half of that.
Yeah.
Fine.
yeah, we thought that would help maybe bring in more public attendance when we advertise it on our site and also on QC Astronomy, that maybe the public or guests might, say, hey, well, I'll go ahead and check in for a little bit.
Yeah, awesome. Because my schedule is crazy now, so it'd be much better if I had the option, I guess is what I'm saying. I think I'm probably not the only person who feels that way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us got used to the ease of logging into meetings from home. I would probably want to, you know, I don't mind going to try to set up stuff at St. Ambrose to do that. I think that it's going to involve more than just a laptop that, you know, whoever's presenting is doing. We probably need some kind of a camera aiming toward the audience or in the back of the room, aiming at the back of the audience to the presentation screen. I don't know. I know that you present over the computer anyway, so that can be shared. So maybe just one camera facing at the membership, and then you alt tab between the presentation and that camera, I guess. I don't know. But we can talk about.
We should ask Alan how he's doing it with the PAC meetings.
Well, I got a question for you, Doc, since the university has far more resources than the club does. Are there any classrooms or meeting rooms that would be available that actually have in-meeting conference systems set up already?
Good question.
Hey, what we do at the PAC meetings, the Butterworth Center has their own system, and they have a big widescreen TV with a camera system already set up, and we just log into their system and use their yeah,
Their equipment.
yeah.
I'm willing to bet, Doc,
their
since
equipment.
at the beginning of this, you were using Ambrose's software WebEx. I'm willing to bet that they have physical WebEx somewhere in that facility where the room is actually set up with actual WebEx hardware. And WebEx hardware is not going to have an issue with a Zoom meeting at all.
Well, something else I'll ask. Unfortunately, I've only got a few days window to ask this week because I'm leaving town this Friday to go on vacation. So it's either do it right now or wait until mid-July when I get back. Which does bring up that I am going to be out of town from June 25th till like July 14th. So that will cover one of our board meetings and one of Ambrose's public nights at Menke. You, someone be able to cover for me? Will someone be able to cover for me?
I think Paul said he would.
Yeah, I can help out too, Dr. Mitchell, as needed. The three of us can powwow to make sure that someone's here to log in and get it going.
Okay, that'd be great. I think I've already got the meeting scheduled in Zoom. Let me double check. The board meeting, Monday, July 5th. Yes. So I've already gotten the calendar. So I can pass on the Zoom link to the rest of the board before I leave.
That would be great. And then people, there's no leader. Everybody just signs in, right?
As far as I know, as long as you have the password for the board login ID, you should be able to.
Okay.
Actually, here, let me do that right now.
Just an aside, July 5th is the holiday. Monday, July 5th is the holiday this year.
Right. And let's see, that should be all right. And
Do you have an agenda already for that board meeting?
I can make one.
Before I forget, since they just came up tonight, can I add 2 things to it related? And club members will be interested in hearing this too.
one moment. All right. And okay, shoot.
Okay, of course, we'll talk about observatory relocation,
Right.
but then for EISP, we want to talk about doing a 50-50 and we want to talk about doing t-shirts. Those are both new items that kind of came up from the membership tonight. So we'll talk about that at the board meeting.
Okay. Got it. All right. Anything else before we move on? All right. Past events. Let's see. June 5th, our club had its public night at Menke. And was that the I can't remember. I was that the first time we went out in person for the club?
I think it was the second one and the first one wasn't attended very well. But we had people come to the second one.
I
Or was
some
that-
of us, I think some of us went out
Yeah,
on the June 5th one, yeah, but nobody from the general public did.
correct.
Right.
I might be thinking of the St. Ambrose one, the Menke public too.
That was June 12th, and yes, that one couldn't ask for better weather that night. Skies were perfect, weather was dry, and we did get 2 members of the general public showing up, 2 students from St. Ambrose University. Well, but seeing as this was the first time we advertised that the general public could come back, so.
I think you had about 10 people show up altogether, if I was counting right.
Including the club and the public, yes.
And about 4 telescopes out on the grass, and
Mhm.
Ken, Byron, and
Steve.
Steve, the new member, I think, and Rusty.
Sounds right. And that was the same weekend as Putnam's Gateway to Space event. Sam and I went out there Saturday and set up a few of our telescopes as demonstrations inside the main lobby. The weather had told us that it was going to be like partly cloudy or chance of storms, which is why nobody brought solar scopes on Saturday, which, as it turned out, the weather was clearer than we anticipated. And they brought the PACMO out there. Rusty, how was attendance to the PACMO?
Too bad. Every time they would do make the comets, they would tell them about the PACMO, and then they'd tell them all to come on out and look at the sun. So I had my camera set up on that, and we were monitoring right off the TV that's in the PACMO. So, but it turned out pretty good. It was hotter than blazes, but it turned out pretty good.
Yes. Yep. Sam and I had about at least half a dozen people come up to the table and ask us about the telescopes. Couple of them, their first question was, how far can you see with the scopes? Which a lot of people do. One guy asked us if we could see aliens through the telescopes.
It depends on if Sam was in the room.
True. I think the people that had the most interest on them were people that currently do photography. Because
Yeah.
they're interested in doing astrophotography. So they have more intelligent questions than the rest, right? Because they actually, of course, besides how far can you see, the other one is how much does this cost? And it's like, how do you explain to them that, you get out of it what you put into it? So it's difficult, but it was okay.
So we
I
were
went
there
back
from.
on Sunday, Robert, if you didn't know that.
Oh, you did come back on Sunday. Okay.
Yeah.
So we were there on Saturday from 11 to 4, and so Sam went back on Sunday. And Jeff, you said you were going to be there on Sunday.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sam,
Jeff was there.
Sam, yeah, Sam Cecil and I were outside on Sunday, and Byron was inside with his scope. But Sam and I had our H alpha scopes there, and we got quite a few people, and quite a few people came back to take additional views. So the H alpha was kind of a hit. So yeah, it was hot outside. I got there about 11:30, and I left about 4:45. I set up a little tent so I could go inside out of the sun when there wasn't a lot of public, but it was a lot of in and out. But yeah, they like seeing prominences. They like the filaments. There was a sunspot you could actually see, so they got to see that. So that did pretty well.
Good. All right. And then June 14th, PAC had their monthly meeting. And a very nice presentation there. And then you had PAC was scheduled for a night at NIABE on June 19th, this past Saturday.
Yeah, we had a few people there. We had 7 scopes set up, I think. And unfortunately, the moon pretty well, killed a lot of
Too near full.
good images, but we had a good turnout.
That's good. So, it's good that the weather cooperated.
Oh yeah.
All right. Okay. Any questions on any other comments on recent events? All right, coming up, the next public night is until July 10th. That's an Ambrose one at Menke. And as I said, I'm going to be out of town, unfortunately, for that one. So, and then PAC's having their next meeting on July 12th. Rusty, any previews of your July meeting?
No, I'm not even sure who's doing the presentation. Al always sets that up, so.
I think Alan's gone right now too on
Yeah,
vacation.
he's on his way to Utah, I think. Gonna be gone for 2 weeks, so.
All right.
Do you have a link already for the Menke Public Open?
I should. Let me double check.
Okay, if you don't, can you make it for a half an hour earlier? Not telling the public that it's starting earlier, because I just want to make sure that I can log in early and make it work, and then I can keep setting up stuff.
Let's see. I'm getting into the Zoom meeting. So I've got it here.
That's okay. If it's already set, let it be. It's fine.
Well, it's set to start at 8 o'clock. Would that be early enough?
Yeah, if it's already set that way, just let it be. Otherwise,
I can reset it to 7:30 if you want.
Yeah, I would appreciate it, because I'd like to be there before guests showed up to make sure everything was working.
Well, assuming this works.
I'm going to try to set up a scope on top of the 14-inch so that we can broadcast that scope. So it's going to take a little bit extra setup, and making
What,
sure all the
what's the
candidates
date? July what?
can.
July 10th.
Okay.
And
So the goal would be is to let
Second
the
is-
public look through the 14 and to broadcast through whatever we put on top of the 14.
Just a second. This thing is making me jump through a whole bunch of hoops in order to do it. But
If you can't, don't
I'm
worry
more
about
than halfway done. Hang on. I think, yes. I think that's got it. Okay. And you want me to send the link to the whole club or just you?
No, I would, could you just send it to the board members?
Coming right up.
And then when we have organized exactly how we're gonna do what, then I can send it out to the membership and give them an idea of what's going on. I'll probably hash through stuff with Sam because Sam's the proud owner of that attachment on top of the 14. And I'll bring one of my scopes for on top and a camera.
Coming your way.
Thank you.
Have you guys already talked about the 20-inch scope out of Mankey?
Not yet.
We're
Okay.
coming to that.
Okay, I just
All
want to
right,
make sure I got it
okay.
right.
All right. Other upcoming events. July 17th, PAC is having their next public night at Niabi. And the club's next public night is July 31st.
And you'll be back for that one, right?
I'll be back for that one, yes. Followed 1 week later by hopefully the meteor shower party at Pleasant Valley Junior High. Has anything changed about that since our last meeting?
I have not heard of any changes whatsoever. And the way it sounds, it'll be easier and more open. But I'll go ahead and make a note to send Ian an email to make sure that we're all good to go. We'll probably want to add something to our July board meeting. Talk about what we want to do for that. I always
Right.
get these really overly grandiose ideas what to do, and I need people to hold it back a little bit. Jason just freaks me out because he doesn't ever blink.
Hmm.
Or laugh.
Never blinks or laughs.
Is he breathing?
Is he Vulcan?
Okay.
And finally, EISP, and we'll be discussing that in more detail at our next board meeting.
So can I talk a little bit about it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so just the last couple days, I've been getting a few inquiries from Facebook on our on Eastern Iowa Star Party. So I went ahead and sent out to the club, our club PAC and Cedar Amateur Astronomers, looking for people to email back kind of to register, because I don't know that I'm going to put together a formal registration form. So I got a couple people from Cedar Amateurs that said that they were going to go. And then a couple people that we've had before that actually contacted me on Facebook this time said they wanted to go. So I've got 10 people so far out of about 50 spots. And I'm not being as critical this time with the spots. So one person, there's going to be 3 people with one telescope. So I'm not restricting it to 50 people. I'm restricting it to 50 spots, 50 slots or spaces. And if you want 2, 3, or 4 people in your space, that's cool. So far, as we had talked at the board meeting, we probably won't do any guest speakers. We probably won't do any major raffle or anything. We won't have any major food, just munchies and beverages. There probably won't be any fee to attend, just by donation. And as I mentioned earlier for our board meeting, one member did bring up maybe we could do a 50-50. And another member mentioned, maybe doing t-shirts again. So we'll discuss the logistics on that at the next board meeting to see if that's possible. But at any rate, so after I sent that out to the club a couple days ago, I think it was, I did go ahead and put it on Cloudy Nights, a new post for 2021 Eastern Iowa Star Party. So that's on Cloudy Nights forums. And I also sent out invitation to the attendees from 2019 and 2020. So I get the feeling that, with just that amount, we could fill up this year. And, to me, it'll be really a great event because we can do some roundtable stuff outside, and hopefully we'll have some nice clear skies. So,
yes. Yep.
Anyway, I don't know if anybody's got any questions for me because I really don't have a lot of information sent out yet. We've got a lot of stuff in mind.
So we're not going to try to do the pizza again.
I don't think that came out very well last time. By the time they got it in, it was cold and kind of crunched up. And again, we can talk about that at the board meeting if we want to try to do some kind of food. Every year for the last number of years, we were doing midnight chili, and that gets to be kind of difficult to do. So
You can always fire up a grill.
yeah, I don't like the flame doing Star Party stuff. The extra light to me detracts from it.
Not to mention the smoke.
That keeps the skeeters away.
That could be. And more so, it's I think that I don't know how they feel about a grill on the observation area, but I know they've got places for it. But I don't know how many people would want to walk a block to do a barbecue thing, and we'd have to have somebody watching it. And then usually that's kind of getting dark enough where you're wanting to make sure your gear's all going and all that. So maybe we could do some food runs for people. We can calculate what it would take to, put together little order forms and run over to the Dixon Legion to pick up stuff, or one of the restaurants that are in Donahue to pick up stuff. So I'm not opposed to doing that kind of thing either. So, but we'll talk about it more. I think since we're just kind of getting into things again, maybe easing into it might be the easiest.
Baby steps, yeah. And if it's at all possible, I will try to log in to the July 5th board meeting. It's just that where I'll be staying, the computer is not the most up to date. Neither is the internet, so I can't guarantee. I can't guarantee a good connection. All right. Any other questions about upcoming events? Are there any other upcoming events that I haven't mentioned? All right, next item. Who's bought some new gear in the past month?
I haven't bought anything, but I got an update for Rusty.
You did?
Yeah, so my focus motor that I thought would work on the dual speed that I bought for you,
Yeah.
it doesn't fit. And that kills me because I can't figure out how to get the knobs off of that Zoomel focus motor, or the Zoomel dual focuser, to put my focus motor on it.
I've got a bolt cutter.
Yeah, I don't want to permanently take it off.
I'm not sure how that comes off either.
Oh, I could not figure it out. And I took out enough pieces that the interior mechanism started grinding. So then I had to figure out how to put the pieces back in so that it rolled smooth again. And I just stopped. But focusing an 8-inch SET for a DSLR camera for long exposure is freaking hard. So I was really, really trying to figure out how to do it without touching the OTA. And it looks like if I'm going to do it that way, I probably will have to buy the focus motor for the SET itself to go into the SET focuser, in which case it's defeating the purpose of what I was trying to do, which is collimate it and lock it solid and avoid mirror flop as I went through it. But, you know, what are you going to do?
So
Yeah.
Matt, I'm not really sure what all you're doing, but Mike Umbrello does some electronic focusing of his DSLR.
Well, the issue itself is that I'm trying to do it with this specific part on this specific telescope. So if I was just using a regular old telescope, like a refractor, I'd have millions of options for this. But since it is that specific Edge 8 SET, and the only place I can find, like I've ever seen, the dual speed is the discontinued Zoom L one that Rusty happened to have, so I, traded for it. But I need to like find somebody that knows what they're looking at to try and take that thing off. And then I'm probably going to have to build a custom bracket to make it fit on that focuser specifically, because it's just different. The Zoom L, the GSO one is different than the Cinta one, the Orion branded one.
Is that a Crawford that you've got on there that you're trying to do?
Say it again.
Is that a Crawford, or is that, are you doing?
It's a very traditional dual speed Crayford focuser.
Did you look at any of the Rigel system? Well, you might not want to go that route.
Yeah, I was trying to use what I had.
Yeah,
I've got one here for the Orion one, but the biggest issue is going to be trying to figure out how to get the single speed knob off, because I mean, typically when you're going to do a focus motor, you're removing the single speed knob and leaving the dual speed stuff alone, on the right hand side, and they're just putting the focus motor on the single speed knob because you can control the speed of that motor, so you don't have to mess around at all with the dual speed side of it. But for the life of me, I can't figure out how to get this thing apart.
Hey, Matt, is this for an SAT, you said?
Yeah, it's basically it replaces the diagonal back on the
but what size SAT?
It's 8-inch Edge.
Okay. So is this the same focuser that's on the 20-inch?
No. You want to see it, Steve? I'll bring it in here real quick.
Yeah, because I have an electronic focuser for the 20-inch telescope. It just fits on either side. Is that where you're looking?
Right on top of the knobs?
Yeah, there's two there's two screws that like it's like a tension screw and one's like a lock screw, and then you take one of those screws out and then it just grabs on top of the focuser. Then you just take a rubber band and then it just the motor just drives the fine focus motor, the fine focus wheel. And then there's just a reversing switch.
So it's like a little belt drive that goes over the fine focus.
Yeah. Is that what you're looking for?
That would probably I would take it, because I think I could make that work. The one that I've got, the Orion one, there's a bracket. The dual speed focusers, there's like 5 screws in the center of them, and you take out the 2 screws on the side that you're going to remove, and then you actually remove the knob, and you're attaching the motor directly to the shaft that goes in between the 2 focusers, or the 2 focus knobs. But something belt driven, that'd be a heck of a lot easier to install.
Yeah. It just installs in a snap.
Yeah, and it just has a hand controller to focus in or out. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going to do, just a different install style.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt, is it a standard 2-inch visual back?
I'm gonna bring the scope in real quick. Give me like 30 seconds.
While we're waiting, has anyone else bought any new gear recently?
Not yet. I don't have it yet.
I'm still waiting for my binoculars, but I got an Orion Monster mount for them. The mount already came. The binoculars are delayed again. it's a pretty nice mount. It's just, once you get it, you realize, man, it is really a monster. It is. Once you set it up, it's like, do I really want to be logging this around everywhere I go? But it's nice. Did you used to have one of those, Jeff?
Yep,
The monster one or the smaller one?
the big one.
I'm taking the binoculars I wanted the 19 Eastern Iowa with me to Vermont.
I've still never been all that crazy about binoculars. I've got a nice set, but I watch eagles across the river, and I enjoy that. But looking up at the sky, I like my telescope better.
Well, it all depends.
You've got a great big van to carry all
It all
your
depends.
scopes. I only have a compact car.
Because on a nice clear sky in the summer, looking at Sagittarius with a pair of binoculars, it's awesome. There's so many things to see, and you can see so many of them at once that it's really awesome. That's why I decided that I wanted to get some nice binoculars on a mount.
I think Matt came back while we were talking. Matt,
Did
you
he?
there?
Yeah, is it
Huh?
showing my video?
Yeah.
Okay, there.
There we go. So that's it. This is screwed into the back of the scope, and then that's on there.
Is there some way we can bring your video feed to the front?
If you put yourself on speaker view, then it will be huge.
How's that?
Well,
I've done that with mine.
Yeah, everybody has to do it themselves.
Right.
But yeah, so like on my focusers that I have, you remove this little screw here, and this thing slides off, and then there's the shaft that runs between them. But this one, you remove this, and the shaft doesn't come off. But when you remove this dude, hold on, over here in the dual speed, it exposes the shaft. But it's only like 1 millimeter. It's like the cheapest, tiniest shaft ever. And my motor would go attached to the shaft and then have basically just a piece of metal here to hold it in place to operate this. But if, Steve, you're saying yours is just going to attach to a couple of these guys.
Yeah.
Hang off and then spin this dude. That would work perfectly good too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a newer version of the focuser. I got older versions.
Oh, Steve, do you think these probably won't line up?
No, it won't line up.
Damn it.
I know it.
Well, it was worth a shot.
Yeah, I got a whole kit. I was just going to go in. We used to have like a video outfit for the 20-inch, and then we wanted to be able to remote control the focus wheel. So there was just a little hand controller on the bottom. It worked real slick.
Yeah, it's similar to what I got, like just a hand controller, and you reverse whichever direction, and you can change the speed of it.
Matt, was that focuser threaded to fit right on your Schmidt cast?
Yes.
Okay. You're lucky.
Yeah, Rusty like literally had one. I traded him we did a finder scope swap, and I gave him a little money, so it worked out for both of us.
Well, I have a focuser that looks similar to that, but it has different threads on it.
Oh, than yours?
Yeah, mine, I don't know what mine would fit.
Hey, Jim, what did you try to put it on?
A Schmidt Cassegrain.
Yep, a Celestron, or what size?
Well, it didn't seem to be either the large, like a 10-inch, 12-inch Cassegrain SCT, or the 8.
Because I've got one that fits on the 14 and my 11.
Yeah.
And we could use one for I was thinking that if it fit on Dr. Mitchell's out at Menke, he could use one out there.
I don't think it'll fit on that.
Okay. I know we tried Rusty's
It
and
just has
Rusty's.
it has a real unusual thread.
That won't fit on the back of my Starfire, will it?
I haven't found anything that fits on.
Okay.
I just have to get an adapter of some kind.
Excuse me. Okay. Any other new gear? What we got there, Steve?
So Matt, this is what it looks like here on mine. It has that round, and then there's just a screw here, and it just comes out, and the motor is there, and then it's all lined up. I just made that with this out of MDF.
Sure.
Okay, and then there's a wire that comes down, and then so you see what I did. I just made this. I got this motor off Scope stuff, so they even said make your electric. It's just a 12-volt motor, and then there's just like a gear reduction in here. So actually, that's the transmission that you're seeing. The motor is actually inside here, and then it just comes out to the wheel, and then so there's a whole kit down here, and then there was just a reversing switch. And then all the plugs, let's see, all the plugs are just RCAs. And then to power it, you had where is it? You just use a transformer here. And then it just has an RCA. So that plugs into the, that just plugs into the switch. And then you can use just standard, and there was like an extension cord here that went all the way up 10 feet up to the top of the 20-inch scope, Anyway.
So can I share something?
Yep.
Yep.
Maybe I can try. Let's see. Can you see?
Yep.
Yes.
Can you see that motor focus thing in there?
Yes.
So Matt, this mounts on the back of an 8-inch Meade, and you just need to thread it. It's sitting in a box downstairs. I haven't used it for years. You can give it a try if you want to.
I don't know that. I have no idea if you can. Something is telling me that the threading for the Meade and the Celestron are very different. But I could actually test that tonight because I have a camera back for a Meade telescope that I own. And if they thread, I guess that would do the job too.
I thought they were different if you weren't on the 9 1/4 and above, but the 8s, I thought all the 8s had the same 2-inch thread. But give it a try and let me know. Because if it works, you can try this. I mean, this works for you. You can use it for as long as you want.
Well, I mean, even if that's not true, like looking at what Steve's got there, if I could get the right bolt or the right long screw, because this thing's got a screw that goes on the top of it to release to make it swivel like around the optical axis.
Yeah.
So if his motor is just hooking up with a rubber band anyway, it shouldn't be too big of a deal to make my own, if you legit just made it out of MDF, right, Steve?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be big of a deal to redo that too. So I guess I'll look into both of them.
It is, it's available. It's just sitting in the basement and I haven't used it for a long time. And it works. I just put new batteries on it the other day just to test it and it was working just fine.
Well, either of those options sound like more fun than buying one to do it. And yeah, I want to still use the Crayford for sure. I don't want to monkey around with the mirror walking up and down the tube.
This is that's what this is.
Yeah, exactly. Like on the back of it.
It's a Crayford It's a Crayford with a motor built in, and it has just this ring that screws on the visual back, and then you attach this to that ring with set screws.
Hey, Matt.
Yo,
I have a mill and a lathe, so if we need to build something, let me know.
oh, awesome, Rusty. Thank you. Thank all you guys, by the way, because I haven't set up my scope much at all this year, and I think I'm putting the 8-inch edge down because I feel like I wasted those 3 great nights that we had. So I'm gonna put everything back on my 8-inch reflector for the next time it's nice out, so I can at least get something that I can work with. But yeah, I'll be monkeying around with all the parts and fittings that I have laying around here anyway. So I will definitely let y'all know. Thank you.
All right. Anything else? Anybody selling anything?
I got a huge Pelican case I gotta get rid of.
Yes, you do.
That son of a
Oh my
bitch doesn't go
God.
anywhere. Just collects his dust.
Bill,
You're not collecting pelicans anymore?
No, I think I could get about 5 of them in there if I needed to.
So did you talk to Byron at all?
No.
Because I don't know whether he needs anything. He's got that 9 1/4-inch edge, I think, doesn't he, guys?
He's got an 8-inch edge, but he sold it.
Who? I thought somebody just bought a 9 1/4 in our club.
Maybe so.
I've got a 9 1/4, but I don't need that Pelican case for it.
Okay.
All right. Okay,
Yeah,
anything else?
I think I looked at that and it was just a little bit too small for my 11. And I was a little bit too wimpy to be able to pick up the thing.
Yeah.
Although put a couple wheels on the back, you could use it as a trailer.
Well, it's got 2 wheels on it now.
Well, maybe you can use it as a trailer.
I think I'm just gonna store my old VHS tapes in there.
that would be a nice anchor.
All right.
We could use it as a booby prize for EISP. Whoever loses the raffle wins it. It's a beautiful case. It's just that it's so big.
I know it.
I don't know who talked you into doing that.
I talked myself into it, thinking that I was gonna carry the edge in there all the time. And the edge fits in there, but it's just way too big.
Darn, I was hoping we could blame Sam.
All right. Okay, anything else?
Big enough to put a dead body in it,
Much.
if anybody needs one. Anyway,
All right. Okay. Sam, want to give us a quick treasurer's report?
sure. So, as far as the general fund, the current amount is 2179.66. We have a balance on our event fund of 402.28.
No change there.
And our observatory relocation has a balance of 20,547.78. Hopefully soon to be 40,000.
Well, hopefully.
And the total right now is 23,129.72.
Okay, got it. All right. Which brings us to the observatory relocation. First, some real progress has been made in moving the club's, at least some of the club's equipment from Sherman Park to Menke. Mike, Jim, you want to tell us what's been done so far, please?
Well, when it got hot, it kind of came to a standstill a little bit, but Jim was instrumental in getting the steel secured. He ran all over and finally got some at Clinton, the two pieces of 6x8 and bolted together. And he marked the bottom with the old plate that was there for the 14-inch. And we kind of traced out the top of the 20-inch mount onto the top. And I brought it home on Saturday night and I drilled them, took them back out at noon Sunday. And I couldn't believe it, like I said at the last meeting, that it couldn't fit any better. I was shocked. It went that easy. And then Jim and Steve worked on it even after I left around noon that hot day a couple weeks ago, I think yesterday. And they got the mount all hooked up, the fork, and they even had the tube on. And Steve was having troubles getting down that low, trying to work on the ring gear and the worm gear to match up. And of course, this is the first cool day we've had, which would have been a good day. And I've gotten a little bit busy myself, but Craig Cox's brother Harold called me yesterday saying that he was kind of available in moving the 12-inch. And I told him the wrench sizes he would need because they're probably on the mount that adjusts the azimuth, takes 2 bolts on either side, and they're from 1 inch probably down to 9/16. And to get that off, and smaller wrenches to take the mount off the floor, then they can go ahead and align the 20-inch and get the drive going, gears and all that. And Steve and John and Craig Cox knows or Harold Cox knows quite a bit about it, which he seemed to think he did. Maybe those guys can get together and get the backlash on the brass ring gear and worm gear to mesh for the right backlash and start work on the alignment. But really what we all got done 2 weeks ago before it got hot, we made incredible headway in those 2 or 3 days. And then it was so hot, it just kind of stopped it.
So to sum up, the 20-inch scope is now located at Menke in the existing roll-off roof. Hasn't been calibrated or aligned yet, but it
yes,
is in there.
Can you hear me? This is John.
Yes.
Yeah, I was out there the other night, and I brought my 12mm crosshair reticle and did some drift alignment on it. It's up and working right now, pretty good.
Oh, good.
John, is the drive mechanism all put on it now too?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's all ready. It's tracking stars and everything.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that the ring gear and the worm gear and all that got done.
Yeah, I got that on there the other day, and I took the blocks off the top of the roof that I had put on there, so you can open the roof all the way now. I still need to figure out something to block. Hopefully the raccoons won't get back in there.
Yeah.
Figure something else out.
So we need to get the 12-inch down.
Yep.
So that's probably the biggest project.
You're sure we need to move the 12-inch? You're sure we need to move the 12-inch out of there?
That's what I was gonna ask.
I was using the 20-inch out there, and you can use a 20-inch, but you wouldn't be able to use both of them at the same time. It's just there's not a whole lot of room. You're moving around in there.
Now here's an idea too. When we get the new roll-off building, and get Cecil's 30-inch in on the east side, there could be room for a 12 or the 14-inch, but the 14-inch probably needs a commercial bought mount, and then we would have a 14, or the 12. And there's a lot of versatility coming up here. And with those kind of scopes, we'll have some of the best scopes in the area.
Yeah. Robert, my recommendation is to take that 14-inch and just put it into a Dobsonian.
Well, the 14 I think is going to get sold.
Yeah, we were talking about selling that old 14-inch.
Okay. Hey, even better.
All right.
But you also got the 16 at Sherman Park, and that could be, when we move the dome over, keep that in there or get a better mount for it if that mount
It's getting
is available.
sold too.
Yeah, that one should be sold first.
Really?
Well,
Okay.
The one over at Mankey, the 14-inch is not ours, so they both can go right away.
Well, then we can buy something better.
Yeah, our 16 gets gone. That was already voted on by the board. The 14-inch, Dr. Mitchell decided that it can go away too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then the 12-inch could go in there into the new roll-off too.
What's that?
The 12-inch reflector that's in the Minky roll-off could go over in the new roll-off also.
Well, what was going to go over the new roll-off was a Jim scope that we're buying and Cecil's 30-inch.
Yeah, right. Cecil's, and like I said, that west end side, it's open for whatever. I mean, got great versatility here.
All right. Well, so
Mike had mentioned Jim working on the mount. It was actually John. I mean, he just misspoke. So I think, giving credit to Rusty, John Baker, Steve Van Hefty, and Mike Danefeld kind of for the primary contributors to get the 20-inch from over into Minky was just a great accomplishment. I mean, there's been an awful lot happen in the last month. So
yes, let's give them all a round of applause.
Yay. And just to go along with other things that have gone on, the board worked on submitting 2 additional grant requests, one to the Day Foundation and the other one to the Carver Charitable Trust. We just talked about.
Yes, I believe you have some breaking news for us, Jim.
So, and along on the topic of the Carver Trust, just today we got a communication in our mailbox that told us that Carver is going to be awarding us $20,000. So that'd be an additional $20,000 on top of the other $20,000 that we have. So, we've really got a nice amount of money to be able to allow us, I think, to put in the concrete that we talked about, those slabs, and then to build the roll-off roof building.
So we may be getting ahead of ourselves, but we can now up the relocation, the amount in the relocation fund to $40,547.78, with a total of $43,129.72. So so let's take a vote. Do we vote to accept the treasurer's report?
I make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
So all those in favor of the treasurer's report as stated and very just today amended?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so is it certain, did they give you a date when they're gonna mail that check, Jim?
They said late in this month. So you're right. It's probably a little premature to say we have the money as effective today.
Yeah, I'd much rather wait until I have it in my hand to put it in the budget.
Yes. And we have to
So
discuss
then-
whether or not there are any stipulations in there that we can't abide by.
Well, there definitely are stipulations, ones that we made when we filled out the grant, and there's additional ones that they ask us to make. Dr. Mitchell has signed his name on it, and I'll sign on it, then we'll send that back in, and based on that, they'll provide us the money. Basically, they want you to do what you said you were going to do, not break any laws, fill out reports, tell them what's going on, and spend the money the way that you asked it to be spent. So I guess pursuant to that, Mike has been working to identify a good contractor that could place the concrete slabs. And Jeff, some time ago, had identified an individual that builds roll-off observatories. And we had conversed with him maybe as far as a year ago. And so we've sent another email to him to let him know we're still interested and see if we can get on his schedule, find out where he would be on, installing a roll-off roof for us, helping us design it.
I'll be getting a bid in the email probably in the next day or two from a concrete contractor. And I went through a lot of stuff with him, and he said he could be 2 months out, but since it's a small job, he said he wouldn't be surprised. He could be here maybe within even a month if we have it where we want it. He said we'll get the grade right, and he went over a bunch of stuff with me, so I feel confident. But I'd like to talk to Scott also to make sure we're all on board with the accurate dimensions of the foundation.
We're gonna have both foundations done at once.
He said that while he's there, he said, let me know what you want, because I'll even give you a better deal adding on for the dome or the pads or whatever to come in and do it all at once. He said, if I have to come back, it'll probably, be a little more because I'm gonna have to bring all my stuff back to do it. And he said he could probably have the whole building done in he said by the second half of the second day, he'd be pouring the floor, but I would say give him 3 days. He'll be done. And, so it looks really positive. I told him we wanted to kind of a 220 grit sandpaper finish on the floor. We didn't want it polished because we get wet feet from dew and things, and we don't want to be sliding and falling on a polished concrete floor. So he was on board with that. I told him about footings for the piers, and he went over, and this is just a guesstimate, but he said it would probably be coming in somewhere around $700 to $7,500 for that cement work of the roll-off. He didn't say anything about including the dome, 16-foot diameter, and maybe a little extra there or some pads. But, he was thinking right in there. But we'd have to supply the PVC pipe, probably inch and a quarter to the piers. And I got some ideas on if we put Cecil's in there, we don't need 4 bolts sticking up. But I got some other ideas how to hide them bolts just below surface, but yet we still have access to put a totally different mounted telescope in there without 4 bolts sticking up through the floor all the time when we're using a dob or something like that. So I got some good ideas that would cover them 4 bolts, and we just have to make the mount a little different, the pedestal base.
Mm-hmm.
So we're thinking ahead for everything that we possibly can do to, get the thing expedited and keep things moving along. But I have confidence in this guy. I've seen his equipment. It's good. He don't mess around, and he's been doing it for quite some time.
Very good.
So.
And you said Jeff was looking into roll-off buildings.
No. Well, what I said was Jeff had started working with this Scott from Backyard Observatories a couple ago, a year and a half ago or so. And I had more recently, just yesterday, sent him an email to try to get our dialogue going again with him and asked him where he was on the scheduling, helping us finalizing our design.
Okay. All right. So cement work, roll-off building, and where are we right now about moving the dome? Anything new? Anything different about that?
You know, my opinion on that one is we want to go ahead and get the concrete slab poured to be able to allow that to happen. And then that'd be something that I think club members could do a lot of the work on being able to move that. I would say we want to move forward with whatever effort is needed on our part to do the planning, the implementation of the roll-off roof observatory and the 2 concrete slabs. Once we get the slabs in place and we get the building planned and moving forward, get a design, get it scheduled, then I think we're ready to say, let's move the dome building onto that slab. So, you know, that's realistically, that's going to be a month or 2 down the road, but I think it's still possible to get that done yet this year.
So I just want to point out that's moving the dome. That was part of our proposal to the riverboat development grant, the $13,500, which we've already received.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's.
we don't want to forget about that.
Oh, absolutely. No, that's right.
Then we'd also be totally out of Sherman Park too.
Yes.
Turn it over to the hunters.
Yep.
But like I said, we definitely need to coordinate this with Scott. So there's no surprises if Scott does do it and comes from Ohio, that we're all on the same page and he rolls in and we're ready to go. Because if he's done a few of these, this observatory deal, the money shows up here in the next few days or week, it could happen pretty fast.
All right. Well, this is turning out to be an active year for us. In terms of Jeff, were you saying something? I couldn't hear you.
It sounded like a COVID operation.
So Jeff, when was the last time you talked to this Scott guy?
It's been a couple years.
And how old do you think the guy is? Not that it matters, but I'm just wondering.
I'm thinking our age.
Okay, so, and he's done quite a few of these.
Yeah, I think that's kind of his occupation.
Yeah, and he travels around the country.
I believe so, but he's out west, not in Ohio. For some reason, I thought he was like in Nebraska or Arizona, wasn't he, Jim? Do you remember?
I don't know. Currently, his website shows that he's in Ohio.
Okay, well, that could be. I was in contact with so many people. I had like 4 different people bid on him. And he was the best price and seemed to do the closest to what we wanted to do.
Yeah, I think his website, actually anybody that would like to go to his website, I think it's fairly impressive with documentation that he has there, videos of installations. I forget, it's in the hundreds of observatories that he has built.
They're pretty good size. They're not, you know, like our dome ones necessarily.
If he's built that many, he's going to come in and he's not, I mean, it's just, it isn't even 8-foot tall walls. It'll probably be 7-foot tall walls, and the roof will be the most toughest thing. And I say that we match Minky's roll-off roof, if that's a 412, Jeff, or a 512, Mitch match the same hip roof slant so that everything looks nice and neat out there and all.
I will say, everybody I talked to kind of him-hawed around about that hip style roof like that. So,
well, the thing is, when you roll it off to the west, if that's
yeah, I understand and all that, but I think that we should ask to make it uniform, but we need to be prepared for, well, that'll cost you extra, or, well, you got the wrong guy.
Yeah, a hip roof is a little more complicated than a simple gable.
But I don't think it's going to be rocket science. I think that the bid he gave us on that building, or a larger build, about the same size building, I guess, I think it was in the 20s. And that was
Yep.
for everything with the motors, the materials and labor on our concrete with our electrical all ready to go.
Yeah, wow.
So he drops on the building. We hook up the electrical, we put in our piers. So, you know,
Yeah. So you could be talking maybe 25 now with the increase of lumber and being, the bid was a while back.
yeah, I think that we'd look at a little bit of increase because of that. I heard tonight that the price of materials is taking a drastic drop now,
Yeah, I've heard that too.
but that doesn't mean that we're going to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens, but yeah, we'll get a hold of him. Jim's already made that effort. Sometimes he's not very good on emails, so we might have to actually just give him a call.
I heard that on the news too, Jeff. Thing is, refresh my memory. Did that story say that lumber prices themselves are dropping, or that lumber prices on the stock market are dropping?
No, I thought it said lumber prices.
Yeah, I heard lumber also was dropping last Friday, this week already. It was just kind of out of whack.
Hmm.
I pulled up the email, Jeff, that from Scott in January of 2020. And he said ballpark on a 24 by 32 foot building on our slab would be 30,000.
Okay.
And then if we wanted a warm room, it'd be about 35. And you know, we've kind of vacillated from maybe it should be a little bigger than 32 feet long. And then when we had much less money, I was saying we just aren't going to have the money to build that. So unless we can find more money, and that's why we went after Carver, and also hoping maybe Day would be supportive to us too, so that, you know, we talked about maybe a 28-foot long, really to get Cecil's telescope in there plus one other telescope. 3 feet long is, you know, probably the minimum it needs to be. So, you know, we'll just have to get some updates on pricing from Scott.
You know, and down the road, let's say that the 30-inch, we want to change some things up or whatever, and of course it won't have a mount because it'll roll around in there. But let's say we wanted to put another pier, and that pier that we pour, it isn't quite in the right place. Well, there isn't anything that you can't go in there and saw cut a square out of the floor and pour another pier 5 years, 10 years down the road if somebody wants to change something. It's not like once that 6-inch concrete's there, you can't change it. I mean, but you know, we want to try to make it so we don't have to do anything for it.
I figured we'd go ahead and pier mount Cecil's and get it off the wheels.
Yeah.
There's no reason to have it on wheels if it's going
Right.
to be in a building.
Yeah, I agree.
And then the pier is already there.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like you said, we can cut it afterwards, but that means we got to clean everything out of the room or it'll be all full of dust.
Yeah, concrete dust. Yeah, but I'm just saying it isn't the end of the world if somebody some year down the line wanted to change it. But we should also see where Cecil's would sit. So maybe that's where the pier would go.
So yeah, to kind of wrap this up, as Dr. Mitchell said, an exciting last month, off to a good start for this year after kind of a pretty quiet year last year. And so, you know, Dr. Mitchell, when a few of us were out at Minky a couple of weeks ago, you know, we asked the questions about, okay, now is this our club's observing site now? And I think you said yes, so you might want to elaborate on a little more of that about, you know.
Elaborate, well, so we've been planning to merge our two facilities together for years now, with the understanding that St. Ambrose University, the Wapsie River Center, and the QCAS would Basically, you use the facility equally. All of our names are on the new lease for the land. With the still Wapsie River, they have the land, they maintain the grounds. St. Ambrose leases the land from them to have the buildings on site, and Ambrose maintains the buildings. And QCAS, we maintain the equipment and provide the expertise in how to use it and how to maintain it.
So if I can add a side note there, part of the agreement also, unless it's changed, Dr. Mitchell, was we're putting up the new structures and we'll be giving them to St. Ambrose.
Yes.
So St. Ambrose will own the buildings. And the reason we're doing this is because then they can cover all liability insurance. And we don't have to worry about that because it'd be next to impossible for us to get that.
Right. Liability insurance and utilities.
Speaking
Uh,
of,
I have a question regarding this because I get this question all the time. And Ron just asked this right at the beginning of the meeting. If somebody wants to go out there, at least a club member wants to go out there and use the facility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are they able to just go right in without having to ask for permission from anybody because they're club members?
Yes and no. And Dr. Mitchell, correct me if I'm wrong, and sorry to barge in here, but you're right, a lot of people ask. We really like to have more than one member go out.
Yeah,
for
I
security
understand
purposes.
that, but
So,
my
but
question
yeah.
is, if I decide to go, do I have to ask somebody or can I just go?
You should let the Wapsie River Center know that you're going. I have received emails from them in the past about they do have issues with people just showing up unannounced because the Wapsie, they sometimes have their own activities going on there, and well, for one thing, they don't like to have those get interfered with. And for another, Wapsie River is also responsible for the security out there on the grounds. And so someone just showing up there unannounced, for all they know, it's an intruder.
So how do we notify them and how much time do they need?
I can provide the phone number for them and email address. As for how much time they need, I don't know. I don't know if I don't know if they prefer a days in advance or if you just email and tell them that they're coming out there. I'm not entirely sure about that, but I can distribute the contact information for them to the club.
So
Would it make
Dr.
more
Mitchell,
sense to have like a signal light like we currently do at Sherman?
Signal light?
So when you go out to Sherman Park on the blockhouse, there's a specific red light that pops on to let the people who look over that site know that it's us that's out there. An intruder wouldn't know to turn that light on.
And
Menke
they
Observatory
probably wouldn't want it
doesn't
on.
have something like that.
You're about to build 2 buildings out there.
It'd be easy to put a red light on the corner of any of the buildings.
no, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, the main problem I know for quite a few of the members is a lot of times we don't know until that afternoon that we're going out. And chances are, if it's an email that we send, they close at 5 probably. And anytime I've called the Rangers, I've never got an answer.
Perhaps we should meet with the Rangers, the Wapsie River Center, and let them know that we might want to make arrangements like this.
Maybe we can ask them to notify us when they've got events out there so that there isn't a conflict.
That seems fair. Yeah,
Yep, because now you've got 2 organizations with a very hefty investment in the property.
does that mean that they might have something going on that would prevent the QCAS from being able to go observing on a night?
I don't know. I know they sometimes do activities out there in the daytime, but I don't know about nights.
Of all the years I've been out there, I've never had that happen. I'm not saying, I'm not out there like every weekend, but there for a while, probably a couple weekends a month I was out there. I've never had it happen. Not that it couldn't.
Last year,
It
Star
just
Party.
sounds like we need to talk to him. I'm sorry, Rusty.
Yeah. No, he said last year at the Star Party, I had my camper out there, and one of the girls that worked out there come up and was all upset because we had all of our astronomy gear out there on a weekend. She had something planned. She was talking to me about that, and I said, well, as far as I know, this has been planned for quite some time, this particular dates. And she goes, well, nobody told me about it. All this other stuff going on. I got to figure out how to count it. Okay. Sorry. That was last year. So,
Yeah, I think we need a better agreement with them because I'm not overly comfortable with having to bend over backwards asking permission to go out someplace where we just spent, 60 to 100 grand or more.
I think the red light deal's a good thing, maybe up on the top end of the classroom building on the north side so they can see it from a long distance away. That would be one good thing. But like you say, in case they've got something planned a month ahead and we don't know about it, we need to know that.
And I don't think that they use any of the gear out there. So, the opportunities we have with clear skies are very, very, very limited, it seems. And to not be able to go out there because they're bird watching or something.
Yeah, I think it should be highly unusual or never that any use that they have in the nighttime would supersede ours.
well,
In Rusty's case,
that
like our
property.
scopes were out there throughout the weekend, right?
Yeah. See, if Ambrose is leasing that property, anything that is done there should have priority over anything that they're going to do.
So should we set up a meeting with the Wapsie River Rangers to discuss this?
Yeah, I wonder if we want to do park board. And the reason I'm saying that, Dr. Mitchell, isn't that where you and I met with Dave, who's with the actual park board?
Yes.
And the reason is maybe then we can talk to them about any aid they can give us besides. Because how we utilize that property out there under the terms of the lease might be above what Dave can actually do. And I can't imagine that they would jeopardize all this new stuff going on over the possibility of a conflict in scheduling.
Yeah, I think having a discussion is a good idea.
All right. As I said, I'm going to be gone in a few days, so I could reach out to Dave Mercia by email and ask if they want to set this up.
Well, we'll probably want to talk soon, won't we, Jim?
Yeah, I mean, it would be desirable.
So I wonder if you can set it up. And Dr. Mitchell, is there any chance that you can conference call in on your phone? I'm sure that, if we need, if the time we can meet, if the soonest is when you're gone, because if we have to wait till you come back, are we looking at July then?
Second half of July, yes.
Yeah.
Are they aware that there's going to be construction out there?
Yeah. Yeah,
they know about our intentions to put new buildings up there for some time.
Yeah, they know about 3 buildings.
Okay.
They know about the big roll off and how the roof's rolling off. They know about the dome building. They know about a warm room computer control center that's on the north of the roll off. And they know about all the pads?
Yes.
Yeah, and so just a quick comment. So when you're talking to people over at the CCCB or whatever, the Wapsie River Center, is that there's two types of facilities use out there. One is just the field. So going back to the original question, you got your scope or binoculars, and you just want to roll up there and just kind of set up, in the field. You're not going to use the facilities, whether the existing facilities or new facilities. You need to make a phone call. So I would say it's who's ever going to do that, approach that too,
So yeah, the one thing we'll talk about at when we meet with them is to basically put all this down in writing as to how we go about getting access to the facilities off the schedule.
I like the idea with the security too. I'm a big security person. I do everything I can to keep intruders out of buildings and houses and everything else. And if that red light is a good idea, to even if it's on a pole, that at least that's an idea. And then, they know that. Like one person said, no intruder's going to know to turn that light on. That's a thing, but they're a long ways away from there too, unless they're traveling in and out like the ranger or something.
So then in addition to that, at home here, I've got all these Wyze cameras, WYZE, and they're like $20 a piece in their internet cameras. And they've got motion sensors and do emails and texts and all that kind of stuff. And my thought was having one of those in each building, because there should be like zero movement in there unless there's somebody there. So it should be easy to have it trigger. So as long as we've got Wi-Fi access to each building, we will be able to have that too, as far as, knowing who's in there if somebody's getting in there. But as far as...
Yeah, I'm going to interject in there. That's a nightmare. You don't want to do that.
Okay.
We still have a metered data plan out there, right? Via the satellite internet.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, you don't want to monkey with that. You get just a bunch of people moving around. How many gigs of data are going to be used sending you pointless photos of me monkeying around with the telescope?
Or we can turn it off at those when you're there.
If I think to do it, that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll figure something out then. I didn't think that was going to be that bad of an idea, but yeah, maybe it would be bad. And then we do send WAPSI our annual schedule event. So I know that our planned stuff, there should be no conflict.
Yeah, I think we want to strike a balance between giving the club members as much freedom as we can have, not restrict us any more than is necessary. But on the other hand, like you say, there is a balance between, we also want to, we're out there in the dark, maybe just two of us, one person, and we want to be secure too. So we want to understand what's their inputs are and just try to talk about what's the best way we can meet everybody's needs.
Right.
So, certainly between Jeff and Robert and I, can talk. Maybe the rest of the board wants to weigh in on that too, and just decide how to proceed.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. As like, I'm not on the board, but the light on the blockhouse is the easiest solution to all of it. Right now, you flip that power on. There's a red light. Nobody else would think to turn that light on if they were out there monkeying around.
Exactly.
A floodlight like that points away from the actual observing field toward that house or down the path for the standard entrance where the sign is for Mankey, I think would be sufficient. And as long as they would agree with it, nobody else would think to do that. And anybody who goes out there to use the facility could understand, like, that's where you go check in. You check in at the dome. That's where you sign in at, and you got to flip the switch. No problem.
It'd be very cool if we could make that turn off that stupid floodlight over by the flag.
Yeah, that really interfered here. 2 times ago we were there. There was quite a glow to the north.
Yeah, there is a switch for us to turn off over there, Mike.
Yeah, because
And
that,
we do turn that off when we do serious stuff. But
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll email Dave sometime this week and let him know that we want to meet with him about this. All right. So let's see. Is there any other business that that you feel we need to discuss tonight?
I know everybody's been instrumental in getting money in the last couple of years and everything, but I want to commend Jim for really stepping on the gas here and contributing a bunch of time to this Carver grant. I know, yeah, I even seen him at the post office clear over in Bettendorf the other day mailing it, and I know he's been quite instrumental in getting this thing really rolling in the last month. So if anybody gets a hand, it's Jim here for recent stuff. I'm not taking away from anybody that's contributed in the last 2 years, but Jim has really got the ball rolling here.
Yes, let's give Jim a hand for successfully getting us that second grant.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
The Day Foundation grant, when would we get news about that either way?
They say by the end of August, so maybe it will be a little sooner, but that's kind of what they commit to.
Okay.
And as I had emailed to the board members, don't think of this as the last request. Any place that you can think of, businesses, places you do business with, individuals, think of where can we ask for money? Because if we don't ask, we won't get it. If we ask, I'm sure there'll be a lot of turn downs. People just say, it's not right timing for me right now. But eventually you find somebody that is willing to do something. And we've got write-ups that we've used for these other grants. So if anybody wants some ammunition of kind of a generic, here's what we're for and why. If you want us, you tell us here. The IV over here, potential. Send them some information. We'll send it to them. If you want us to go talk to somebody, we'll do that. This isn't, this isn't something that I'm the most comfortable with, asking for money. It's not the thing that I necessarily want to do, but I like the results, so I'm willing to push myself to get there. And I would ask the rest of you to think about what could you do to help us get some money, or to at least point us in the direction that maybe is potential.
Agreed, yes. So,
in that respect, did we ever decide if we were going to do any sort of, I don't know, plaque or whatever for businesses that were interested in maybe kicking in 4 figures or better?
I don't think we've decided what we would do, but I think a number of us have talked, we definitely should be doing something to recognize. Jeff came up with the Melier idea for somebody that would donate $1,000. I guess it's popped in my mind that, we call our existing observatory the Went Gens. Many of us still knew who Wayne was, but I don't know that I feel
I have no idea who Went is, Jim.
So I don't know that we need to have what I can still see leaving Gens in there, but I don't know that Went needs to be in the new observatory's name, for example. Somebody gives us enough money that we want to rename the observatory or one of the telescopes. I think we're all open to those kind of ideas.
So we did have that Messier Club, like Jim said, but I don't know whether everybody remembers or not. I also have a large oak plaque with the little brass plates that you can engrave. And I think the plaque the oak plaque, I think is like maybe 2 foot by 36 inches, maybe 2 foot by 30 inches. And it has a whole bunch of the little, I don't know what they are, maybe 1 inch by 2 inch brass plates. So we've got that already. And
Okay.
we've got one donor to go on there and possibly 2 more as far as donating $1,000. So we can use that for, you know, people that do, like you said, 4 digits. I don't know whether the people that give us grants are included or if we just, you know, get a separate larger 5 by 7 plaque type of thing for them.
Well, what was the name of with the Girl Scouts? Their
Yeah, Ruth,
they, if I remember correctly, they showed grant.
On the wall,
They showed granters on their wall.
Yeah.
Huge wall of granters.
Hey, and don't throw out my terrible idea from 3 years ago to do the NGC club for people that have smaller donations. You could collect that at the star parties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to recognize these people and maybe even have a special night. We invite them out or something when we get it done or showing because, you know, the 20-inch or Cecil's out there, we need to really show the appreciation because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
And that'd be fun to make a public night for those donors special.
Right. Yep.
You know, speaking of Cecil's telescope, we've made the statement that Cecil's telescope is one of the largest in Iowa. I don't know if there's a larger telescope in the state of Iowa than the 30-inch.
I don't think
Anybody know?
I don't think owned by a club, Jim. There's probably private individuals that may have.
so
Well,
that
there's a
might be
radio
turnout.
telescope there's a radio telescope just outside North Liberty that I know is more than 30 inches. It's not an optical scope, but just to
Yes, of course.
point it out.
Yeah, 30-inch radio telescope wouldn't do much.
No. Well, might pick up satellite TV. That's about it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about seeing a 20 and 30 inch here. I can actually start visually making things out.
All right. So, yeah, it's less than 10 minutes to 9. So there are a couple of things that I want to bring up before while we still have the time. I've finally managed to start putting the audio for our board meetings, for our Zoom board meetings for this year, onto the website's blog. So thank you again, Jason, for fixing it so that I could add media files. Unfortunately, the original media files from these Zoom meetings, apparently you can't load them onto the website for, quote, security reasons, whatever they were. Fortunately, I have some software that's able to convert audio files from one format to another and edit them. When I did that, those I've been able to post. So I've already done that with the January board meeting. The other board meetings, I'm going to have to cut the audio files in half because otherwise they exceed the 50 megabyte limit that the website allows. So I'll get on that in the next few days and post them. I can't promise the breaks in the files are going to be pretty, but at least I'll be able to finish up doing that. And that brings me to another item. First of all, these Zoom meetings have been great. They allow us to get together from remote locations, especially during the pandemic. And yes, we all agree that we want to continue offering Zoom access once we go back to in-person meetings. The one drawback that I've noticed, however, is that they've made us get lazy about taking minutes for these meetings. I think, I don't know, we all just assume that I post these on YouTube and that alone counts. But yeah, not so much. So, Jason, you still there? Our secretary? Is he still there?
He's got some kind of permagrin going.
Yes.
It's Invisaligns.
All right. Well, I want to make him a deal. So, yeah, as secretary, he is supposed to be keeping meetings. So if I post these meetings promptly on our YouTube channel, Jason, can you review them and construct minutes out of them to present at the next meeting? And so we can vote on them. And yes, these are going to be these meetings are posted on our YouTube channel, so any one of you can review them at your convenience. Refresh your memory about what went on the last meeting, and then we'll vote. We'll go back to officially voting on the minutes for these meetings, beginning with our next one, with our next general meeting. Does that sound fair? Jeff, you're muted.
And my doggy was barking in the background. Matt, are you there yet? Were we thinking that the recording the Zoom meetings was going to be the minutes, or were we thinking that was going to be in place of the newsletter, or both? Do you remember what we all had talked about?
Those are different questions.
I know.
I'm not an expert on Robert's Rules of Order. I would think it's 2021.
Why does everybody drag me into this?
Yeah, it's all your fault, Doc. All right, so I would think that you don't need meeting minutes if the meetings are publicly available. So, like, I mean, what's the point of a minute? The minute is recaps of the meeting, but in a virtual session, you've recorded the entire meeting. So anyone who wants could watch the meeting and see it in its full context. But once again, I don't know if it's necessary under, I don't know, propriety of a nonprofit, or like, like I mentioned, like the rules of order, that you need to actually create minutes themselves.
I'm guessing that Robert's Rules of Order were created before video was even invented.
Oh yeah, clearly. Yeah, probably by some super snooty English dude. But like, I don't think we need them realistically. Since these are getting posted and they're publicly available, I think as long as we're posting them in a public place to the website, and the board meetings, I don't think need to be publicly posted. But
the board meetings are not. I'm just going to be posting the audio versions of them on our blog.
Yeah, and the board, is there a reason why you're doing the board meetings audio only?
Somebody on the board requested it. Does anyone remember who?
Well, I'm just gonna say, I mean, you could post the board meetings the exact same place that you're posting the public meetings, like this one that we're having tonight.
On a public YouTube channel?
You absolutely can. What you need to do is when you upload it, you need to switch it to unlisted. So it's not private, it's just unlisted. And when it uploads, you get the YouTube link, and then you could post the YouTube link in the forum to say this was the board meeting from whenever, and anybody who has a login to the website that can access the forum can watch that. And those meetings would not be searchable under, like, you couldn't search it under YouTube to find it. It'd be impossible, and it won't show up in the uploads when someone goes to our YouTube page to see them. So you need to, like, when you upload them, just make sure that you check the box for unlisted.
Okay, so check the box, post them as unlisted, and then just copy and paste the unlisted link to QCAS websites.
Exactly. Then you wouldn't even be.
So post that to the blog, basically.
Exactly. I mean, I have the vast majority of what's on my YouTube channel is unlisted. You can go to it. There's probably 15 videos on there, but there's close to 100 things that I've saved on there because they're gigantic files that the best way to share them is to put them on YouTube, post them, like make them unlisted, and then send someone the link so they can just watch it in their YouTube app. So that's going to avoid all of the. I don't get why you're converting the audio and then putting the audio onto our server when it doesn't need to be there. It might as well just be on YouTube.
Well, that was the impression I was given, was to how we could make the board meetings available, but not to the entire world.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you can put anything in the existing supposedly public-facing YouTube channel, but when you upload it, you can set them as public, private, which do not list them as private. So public, private, or unlisted. Private means that only you can see them. There's no public-facing link available, and even if someone found it, it would display nothing. But unlisted, there is a public link available, but it's not searchable, and it doesn't show up in your YouTube channel when someone looks at it.
And if I do it like that, then will that satisfy everyone for having access to them and then voting on them as being the minutes? Will that work?
I would think so.
I think so.
I will try it that way then.
I would rather see, and we should talk about it again, the board meetings video, because a lot of times we show documents, and like for the observatory relocation stuff, I mean, we had pictures of how the building's laid out and all that kind of stuff. But maybe
yeah, all right.
whoever-
So I'll try that I'll try the unlisted YouTube option then.
Yeah, then if they're up there as unlisted, and then there's some piece of media that is shared within a board meeting that you want to be able to repurpose for some other reason or share them on the website, anyone within QCAS can scrub that video, get screen caps of whatever they want, and then use those in a blog post or something later. They're just not available to anyone Googling and stumbling upon QCastro.org.
Oh, okay. I don't know that much about YouTube, but I trust you.
I mean, I could show you if you really want, but it's already 9.
Yeah.
So it's at some point, just get a hold of me, Doc, and I'll show you how to make sure that the video is not visible to the general public.
Well, when I go to post this video to the general public, I'll watch what's going on during the posting process and check if that unlisted option is there.
Yeah, it's 100% there.
Okay. All right then. So it sounds like a plan. And so, is there anything else we urgently need to bring up tonight?
No, but again, excellent work, Jim. All this stuff is so exciting that's happened in the last couple months.
He's really stepped up to the plate, let me tell you.
Well, and John Baker and you too, Mike.
Well,
I mean,
yes.
And I don't know who else was involved in that you mentioned, moving that 20-inch. It absolutely blew my mind that all of a sudden
Rusty was there.
Yeah.
Rusty, yeah. Thanks.
Steve Van Hefty was around, John Baker. So, yeah.
And Jim's wife, please thank your wife for hosing out the roll-off building.
Can we get her an honorary pair of rubber gloves or something? The golden pooper scooper, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, we had some good momentum going there, and boy, it was warm too when we were doing some of that.
So let's keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thanks for everybody that's helping. Hey, Matt, if you got a few minutes, can you stay on the line when people leave? I want to ask you about that focuser.
Yeah, all good to me, man. I ain't going nowhere. I'm already home.
Okay.
I don't know if I have to stay on also, if you're going to do that.
Okay, I won't take too long. I just wanted to show him a picture of my focuser that looks similar to his and see if that looks the same to him.
Then in the meantime, Make a motion. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
If everybody's checking, I'll make it. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, so Jim, Matt, I'll leave it open for a few minutes for you two. Otherwise, everyone else, have a good night.
Great, thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks,
So let's see if I do a share screen, is that how I can show you a picture of my focuser?
Yeah. And then Dr. Mitchell, can you add on for the board meeting, selling the 14 and 16 that we can talk real quick?
I don't know. Can you guys see this focuser?
Hey, Jim, I'm looking at your desktop right now.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that isn't what I want to do. I want to show you a picture, but I guess if you just look at, you tell me how to do it, but if you just look at,
Where's your focuser at?
right, okay, it's right in front of the screen. Okay, here.
Are
See,
you,
so this is the focuser that I have that looks like yours.
okay.
I think it looks like yours, but this is what's the thread on my end. And I don't know if yours is the same, but you just have an adapter.
I'm looking at yours right there, and you know what? I'll take mine off real quick. I'll show you. Mine's different. Mine's very different.
That almost looks like that'll thread into the back of my 152.
Well, it's about 3.5 inches.
It looks like it requires something much larger than mine, Jim.
Okay. You know, I bought this from Cecil because Cecil couldn't figure out, you know, when he bought it, they told him, oh yeah, it threads into a Schmidt cast. Well, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't look like
Cecil
it.
couldn't figure out what to do with it, so I bought it from him.
Hey, go into your setting or jump in there, Jim, and unshare your screen. Just stop sharing it.
Okay.
All right, so I got mine on. So the opening on mine is much smaller than the actual 2-inch tube. If you're looking back,
My view, your view is really, there you go. Thank you.
see how like the hole that's facing my face is smaller than the hole that's facing my face is smaller than the hole that you're looking through. So you're looking through the 2-inch adapter here. And then back here, it's much smaller compared to the 2-inch adapter. So what you got, there's no way it's going to fit.
That silver thing on the end, is that something that screws onto your focuser?
Yeah. So like this doesn't screw onto the focuser.
The visual back.
That's the visual back of the telescope. This screws onto, and then this here locks it so that this can't turn. But when you unlock it, then I can change the orientation of my camera.
Yeah, you're froze up to me, so I don't know if it's my bandwidth too low or what's happening here.
It's all good, Jim. So what you've got is way bigger than what I have. That's the easiest way to put it. It's a lot bigger.
But that silver piece on yours, would that screw off? See, there's the black focuser and then you have that silver piece.
No, it does not unthread. Now there's a couple of like screws here, which might be holding it capped. No. Yeah, possibly. So like, see that little black screw at the very tippy top here?
So Jim, does yours have threads on the inside?
There's another one here and here. I
So
bet those
they
are
would be
holding this captive.
There would be threads on the outside of this.
Yeah, well, here's the silver piece. If they put that silver piece on yours, it'd have to thread on the inside for that to work.
Yeah, hold yours up again, Jim. You got any more light you could put on it?
Oh, sure. Does that help? See that there are no threads on the inside of this, but there
Right.
are threads here, but it's quite large. It's been quite a while since I measured it.
I'm betting yours is designed to thread onto the back of a refractor.
See, it's about 3 3/4 inches outside diameter.
Yeah, I don't know. And you got a lot more throw on your focuser too. Like, that's why I think it's a refractor focuser. Is like this one, I only get, what is that? 2.5 centimeters of actual like in and out for the whole thing. That's
Okay.
it. You got to get it. This thing's got to be pretty close to in focus when you attach it. And then this is all, I mean, fine and then super, super fine focus. But what my big issue with this is I'm talking about an SCT on the Atlas mount. So this thing, as I'm holding it here, I don't know, it's more than 8 ounces. All right, so this is like a half a pound. And then I'm sticking my camera on the back of there, which is more than a pound. And then that is hanging off of, the back of the telescope, which right here is the mirror. So that's the majority of the weight of the telescope. So I'm having trouble balancing it. So I'm kind of like maxing out my Atlas mount with all this crap on here. And then when you go to just barely touch it, I mean, it's jiggling like crazy at 2000 millimeter. That's why I was hoping to, on my Orion one, it looks really similar to this, but the internal workings are different. And I have brackets that I can attach basically a piece of steel here to come out the side of it, and then a focus motor that replaces this knob. And it works pretty freaking slick. I had it set up on my Dobbs forever ago. The only reason I never put it on my 8-inch f4 is that the cord that comes with it is like, it's telephone handset cord, like the curly cord, like for a wall mount handset. But the cord is only like this long. So I was like digging around through my dad's garage, last weekend, and I found a cord that's, 12 feet long for telephone handsets. So that like resurrected, like, oh my gosh, I want to try to make this work, but the exact thing I got will not work. The thing that Sam was showing me, and he's pretty positive that it'll thread in, that would work. If it threads in properly, then it's a microfocuser, because Craig uses something very similar to that with that 8-inch Meade that he's got, SCT. I don't know. You remember what that was, Jim? It's like a white tube 8-inch Meade.
I don't, but what I saw that Sam has, I think I have one of those, and it threads onto the back of a SCT. So if you want to put it in an SCT, I would think that what Sam has is worth a try.
His looked like the best option. I mean, in worst case scenario, what Steve had, since he ended up fabricating the mount to go on it anyway, I mean, I got sanders. I could buzz down a piece of MDF to be the right size, and then I would just thread it through that one long bolt that he had, the one long screw. I would just get whatever was the same thread as the lock screw up here, mount it there, and then if he's talking about a rubber band, it's not that big a deal either. But I'd much rather do something to replace this entirely with a microfocuser, because this thing is freaking heavy, and I did not anticipate as heavy as this was going to be.
How bad is the focuser that you've got on that SCT?
The stock focuser for the edge.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, Jeff. Like, it's not bad. Like, as you focus in and out, it's not bad. But when you're at 2000 millimeter and you've got a big chip, you're talking about a DSLR chip on there, it becomes really obvious from the center of the field outside that it is in and out of collimation.
So here's where I'm going with, yeah, the collimation thing is an issue unless you use the, I don't know if you call it a Crayford or Crawford, but.
Well, it's a
and I'm not-
C-A-R-Y, so it's a Crayford, yeah.
So I'm not trying to talk you into Rigel, but what they do is with that stock focuser like that, it's a gear that goes behind that knob.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jeff. I'll say our experience with your 11-inch trying to take a picture of a planet one time is the reason that I immediately want to avoid that. Because we were at whatever that 11-inch, it was something stupid. Like we had like 4-inch power or the ×4 power mate or something in there. But as you went to focus, it would shoot out of the field of view and then shoot back through it. I'm like, I'm not messing with that.
Well, that's why I'm saying with an electronic focuser, you get rid of a lot of that first off.
Right.
So,
I 100% agree. That's why I'm talking about doing electronic focuser.
So, and what I'm thinking is you've got motors and you've got ways to fabricate stuff. Can you put a nylon gear behind that OEM focuser and attach a motor that faces back and put a belt on it?
The answer is yes. But if with the size of the chip that I have, the center of the field of view is going to stay fine. It's going to be perfect. But as I'm focusing, every night when I went to shoot, the same object, the collimation is going to be off just enough that the edges of my field of view are going to be different. So I'm going to have stacking issues. That's why I was saying I want to get that whole thing collimated flat.
And lock it.
Lock the mirrors and just leave them alone and never touch the focuser again.
Okay, so that brings me to the next one, because that's where I thought you were going, but I changed my direction when you said you'd like to get rid of that Crayford totally. So
well, I'm talking about getting rid of this heavy thing that I got.
And getting a different one like that?
Well, those little micro focusers that they were just, that Sam put up, that isn't going to weigh anything compared to this.
Right.
I mean, that looked like plastic fantastic. I have no issue with plastic fantastic. Once I get it focused, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I it just kind of threw me off. So what you're talking about is just a lightweight electronic focuser that will thread in place of your visual back. And all it would be is an electronic. You don't even need knobs on it, really. You
Exactly.
Exactly. Because you focus with the main thing, lock it in place, and then you do fine tuning with electronic.
That's what I'm saying is I'd run it all the way out and then I'd run it all the way back in, find where the middle was, and then I'd get my gross focus with the OEM knob on it.
What about one of those little helical focusers and put that right in the visual back and lock it? Because your visual back, I think, just receives a 1 1/4 or 2 inch, whichever visual back you've got. And that would be solid. You'd lock it and then you'd put.
Yeah, there's something on the Celestron scope that I don't necessarily understand. It looks like I can unscrew it. Where on a Meade scope, you can get it down to bare metal. Like it's just flat on the back and then there's threads that poke out of it. On the Celestron telescope, you've got the metal that's the back of the OTA. But then there's also this plastic thing that looks like I ought to be able to grip it and turn it. I cannot turn that fucking thing at all.
The whole thing will come off. If that big knurled knob on there.
Yeah, that big plastic knob.
That whole thing should unscrew. And that's what I do. I unscrew that to put my SCP adapter, or that's what I unscrew to use my Crayford. I unscrew that whole thing.
I've never gotten this thing off of there. I almost feel like it's an adapter for putting a diagonal on it. And if there's a way for me to take that out of the equation, that actually is going to help my center of gravity too. So I've got no issues going that route either. But I have no idea what the threading looks like underneath that big knob. You know what I'm saying?
I don't remember.
I can't turn mine. I tried to turn it with everything I had. Rusty gripped the scope like he was, I don't know, like it was crazy. And then he tried to get it and he couldn't turn it.
Yeah, that got locked once on Dr. Mitchell's 14-inch. And I forgot who brought out one of those leather tools. It's like a leather strap with a handle on it. And you just wrap it around and it was tight. And they get tight after years because you keep on going against it to keep your diagonal or visual back from spinning around.
That makes sense.
So the first thing you do is you grab it and you push up against it. So you have all these years of torquing it shut. But if it's what I'm thinking you're talking about, that does come off. And I don't
I
remember
think it ought
whether,
to, yeah.
yeah,
I
I
have
don't,
the tool you're talking about, except it's not the leather version. It's the like bicycle chain version, and I don't want to be.
yeah, that'll mar it up.
Yeah.
I think for some reason I thought Cecil had that tool. It was one of the regular, people that show up and do stuff. So I don't know. I don't think it was Mike Dannenfeld. It could have been Sam. It could have been Rusty. But anyway, did you buy that from Byron? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yes.
And that's an 8-inch, right?
It's 8-inch SET.
Yeah, I'll take a look at the back of that. I'll look at a picture of it. And
I'm showing it right now. Like, they got it behind me. This is the thing that we're talking about.
that will come off. Absolutely, that comes off.
Yeah, there's got to be like a bigger threading.
Yeah.
I can't move it.
That absolutely comes off because I take that off of mine to put on my, I've got a solid fixed dimension adapter for my S-Big camera. And that pulls off and it screws right on there.
Yeah, and Jim, check this out. This is my 2-inch adapter for my camera, and it doesn't go in there. So there's no way yours fits.
See, I see your hand and face. You're not updating. Oh, okay. Now, yeah, I've got a snapshot of you with your Schmidt cast standing upright.
Yeah,
You still rocking the library hotspot over there, Jim?
Hey, Matt, bring the handle toward your chest about 10 degrees so he can get a better view of.
You want me to go toward the camera?
No, I want that handle to go toward your chest. Other direction.
Like this?
No, other direction. Just twist it. It can stay flat on the table. Just pivot it around.
Oh, so like that.
Yeah, good. Perfect. Perfect. That'll work.
Yeah, so this is, tell me you can see it. I'm holding my 2-inch camera adapter here, Jim.
Yeah, see, I'm still seeing Jeff. I don't know what's.
Turn your video off. Mute your video, and then our video will look better.
Okay, I'm trying that.
Okay, yeah, give it a second to catch up.
Okay, now I can see you.
Can you see me moving it?
You were for a moment. Oh, yeah, there. Yeah, I can see you moving it.
Okay, yeah, so I'm the only video now. So this is my 2-inch adapter. So your tube that draws in and out of yours is going to be able to accept, this is the inside diameter of it, and it sits right on here. So that focuser that you have is way too big for this type of telescope. Way too big.
Yep. Okay. Yep, makes sense.
So if you use that focuser, Matt, right on between the two knobs, you could bolt the bracket with the shaft of the motor aiming toward the knob that you want to turn. And can't you just put a belt on there?
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking is like, so like there's this screw here that, you know, it locks this in place. Like if I turned it tight, like I couldn't turn it.
Right.
So I almost wonder if I couldn't do, if the microfocuser didn't work, but it really sounds like the microfocuser thing that these guys have will work. If it didn't, then it'd be pretty cake to do Van Hefty's contraption over here, you know, just have it coming off of here. And then like he was saying, run a rubber band tight around this.
Now I was thinking about the other end of it, Matt. If you, on the butt side of the focus, you've got all those screws. Some of them are.
So this is where like, if my Orion kit works, this is where I would be putting it.
Yeah.
The Orion kit is you remove this, and there's a bracket that comes out here, and the focus motor attaches directly to the shaft on this side. Like, it has to be on this side because,
Right.
you know,
You could still mount your bracket on that flat end right there. That way you don't have all that round stuff to deal with.
yeah. Well, this is round. It doesn't look like it, but this is round.
That's not flat.
It's not flat, but then the Orion bracket actually, it's contoured to this. Like it fits this. This part here has to be like mucho mass produced because this piece is the same on my Cinta focusers as this is a GSO focuser because that's a zoom out. But the internal workings of the GSO focuser is like, it's way thinner, like smaller materials and everything than the Cinta focusers that I have from Orion.
I'd still mount the motor off that back side, right where your fingers are at right now. And
If
run
I
that-
could, that's my plan.
Yeah.
Because I have the motor to go straight into this.
I wouldn't go straight into it if you can't get the knobs off. I do the belt.
I get that, but then you gotta consider this, Jeff. I've already got a weight issue where my telescope, like this is my center of gravity on this telescope is right here right now.
Yeah, mine is too.
I
yeah.
can't come back much further. My clamps for my Orion or from the Atlas, they're not at this edge. Like this is like a little bit into the clamp.
Yeah.
To get that center of gravity right.
Yeah.
So adding more to this end, weight-wise, is pretty tenuous.
Well, whether you go into where the knob is at or using a belt there, you're still gonna have the same motor and bracket there.
I agree. That's why I'm so attracted to the idea of replacing this entirely at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know whether Craig uses his anymore. Doesn't his slide into a focuser?
He has a micro focuser that screws on just like this does.
Oh, okay.
But he doesn't have any knobs on it. I mean, it's just got the same kind of button control, and then it moves in and out.
Well, that might
It's
be
easy
okay.
to use, but well, right. That's exactly what these guys are talking about. You know, is using something like Craig's micro focuser. Craig's micro focuser wouldn't work on this telescope just because of the size of this knob.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
But like that other one, I bet it would fit. This knob, there's plenty of clearance here. The only thing that would get maybe tricky is this lock knob is pretty close. But I kind of imagine that it would be, that the micro focuser is going to be thinner.
Well, maybe you can bring it out. The micro focuser, keep it away above those knobs.
If it's light enough, yeah, maybe.
Because if you bring it out that far, that shifts the focus too, and won't that make your mirror go closer to the primary?
Well, I mean,
secondary?
this thing's got a lot of movement in the mirror. Doesn't
Yeah, I
it?
know it
It's
does.
like here to here or something crazy. Like
Yeah.
it moves a long way. And then that movement is multiplied by the fold, you know? Because this is a hyperbolic mirror. That's, you know, hyperbolic on that end.
Right, right.
So it'd be, your focus is going to get multiplied. The distance you're moving, it's getting multiplied.
You know, thinking about your balance problem, could you put on a larger dovetail, the male dovetail that hung out over the end of the optical tube so you were able to push it further forward?
Okay, I didn't show you this. That's exactly what I did.
Uh-huh.
So there's a big fat Losmandy dovetail screwed to the end of this just to get balance.
Yep.
That's what I had to pull off.
Well, Jim was thinking, I'm colorblind, that gold, the bottom dovetail, orange or gold or whatever color it is.
This is the color that came with the scope, same as yours.
If that was
and then
another,
there's a Losmandy rail that's screwed to it.
no, I know, but if that was another 8 inches longer and extended toward the handle, then you wouldn't need the big Losmandy thing on the front.
I'd also have to then now worry about glare off of that because I'm imaging in my backyard with stray light.
Paint it black. But yeah, if you could extend that dovetail farther back toward the handle, a longer dovetail.
Well, I could probably just go through the center of that Los Mandy and then turn it sideways, you know,
Except for
have it
you
hanging
get,
out in space and move the center of gravity more forward too.
although then you could get rid of 15 pounds of weight.
Yeah, I don't, that's the other thing is my Atlas it's had a hard life, y'all. It's, I learned to shoot astrophotography on that mount. It's,
They're a workhorse.
yeah, and it took a beating, but now I've noticed the issues with it now.
Do either one of you have any experience disassembling your axes on your Atlas mounts?
I don't, but like I know that you can get them hyper-tuned, and I almost wonder if sending that mount off next winter to get hyper-tuned would basically revitalize the inside of it.
Yeah,
But
because they completely gut it when they do that. They put
like
ceramic
is
and
it still
brass.
like $1,000 to get it done though?
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
But I think I think that even pretty much eliminates PEC on it. PE on it totally. But Jim, is that what you're talking about, kind of hyper tuning? I pulled the old wedge off and put that aftermarket real nice wedge on one of mine.
Yeah, no, in my case, I bought a used one that the guy had dropped.
Oh,
And it works pretty good, but it seems like at some points it has a little bit of a problem. And I've looked at the RA gear and I don't see any problem. So maybe it's in the deck gear.
yeah, I don't. And I don't know anybody here local that has. But maybe that's a good wintertime project for a couple people to get together to hyper tune them. Because the hyper tune kits
Actually,
aren't as
this one had been hyper-tuned before he dropped it. So it allegedly has different bearings in it. It's
I've heard
not the
that.
belt.
Yeah, I've totally heard exactly what you're saying. Like when they do it, they remove all of the bearings and they replace the belt drive.
Yeah, and see, this one doesn't have the belt drive, so they didn't do that part.
His Atlas wasn't belt drive. Mine is. At least on the instructions, it says it's a belt drive one.
Oh, no, I'm pretty sure this one is not belt driven.
For some reason, I didn't think the Atlases were belt driven. I thought that they had worm gears, and when you hyper tune them, then they put the belt in. So maybe I'm wrong.
The original like Atlases were all worm gears, and then like the Series 3, which is that's what mine is, and up they were belt driven. Supposedly, it says that in the instructions, but who knows?
Yeah, that could be because mine were older ones. Mine were like 14 years old now and 10 years old. So
yeah, you had yours many years before I actually got my hands on mine. I'd be willing to take mine apart only once I had another mount. You know what I'm saying? Like if I could get my hands on a Los Mandy or something, I need to get more up in the 60 to 75 pound range for all the crap I keep sticking on this mount. But if I get another mount, I got no problem.
well, 10 micron does really well.
Yeah, I like your mount, Jeff. I really do. I just don't see myself. I'd be scared to move it around all the time.
Yeah, Losmandy or Ioptron. I don't know how much you've had people with Ioptron.
I've never seen someone with like a bulky Ioptron mount. I just like the Los Mandy always seems like a good choice because it's not that expensive. It has a good payload and it's not super heavy and crazy.
Well, that's kind of the Ioptron 70 is the current version that has, in that 60 pound weight. I saw a guy that had one in Florida. I've seen a 60 also. Now, they both were real positive about theirs, but then you read online and you can find people that have felt that they've had some problems with them too, so. But they're comparable in price to the Losmandy. I like the fact that the Losmandy was made in the United States and you could get some service locally.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
Mike
and they
Wallace certainly had good results with his.
his is a freak of nature. Yeah, like it's awesome.
It seems like it is. What's Mike up to? Is he still interested in astronomy?
I haven't heard from Mike forever and ever. I was hoping that when I sent out the invite for Eastern Iowa Star Party that he'd write back. I'll have to give him a call.
Kind of changing subjects there, but I just wondered about him. So you're working a lot, Matt?
Matt, if you're talking, you're muted. Well, if he stepped out a bit, Jim, could you see my focuser?
No.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
That measures about 3 inches outside.
That's off your AP?
Yeah, that's off the Starfire.
Okay.
I had to step away there for a second, Jim. I heard you. Yeah, my job sucks. How do I retire? Tell me. I need it to happen this week.
Yeah, you get old. You have to work a long time.
Yeah, you just have to keep working. That's what sucks.
Only way I know how to do it.
Yeah, so I used to like just for I don't know, comparison. Prior to COVID, I was the business account rep for one store in Davenport. I had about 1,300 customers, way over exceeded, over indexed all of my like goals and quotas. It was a lot of work, and I was even telling Jeff like, this is a lot of work. I can't be on the board anymore. If we all remember this. So now I have 5 stores, 44,000 customers, and I'm covering for 2 other people, one who has 5 stores and one who has larger accounts over 3 times the area of my area, because they can't get people to do this job, and they're never going to get people to do this job when it's this freaking hard for this much money. It's just not ever going to happen. So I don't have much of a life, and most of my time not working is spent on the couch trying to like forget about working. It sucks. Full burnout mode over here.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, something's got to change. I think either it does or I find something else to do, because I think for the first time in my lifetime, we're in a situation where labor might actually become a seller's market rather than a buyer's market. So hopefully I can go and do something else with my life.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, man, like oh my gosh. Did any of you guys do any observing last week when it was just freaking pristine and it made no sense how good the sky was?
Well, I was out Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Unfortunately, I stayed up so late Thursday and Friday that I stayed up Saturday when it was better seeing and more transparent, but I was pretty tired.
Yeah. I set up, so I rebuilt the deck on my house. I don't know, did I ever like show you that last year when it was about June last year, like me and Paul and John were on Blue Jeans meetings like pretty consistently, like janking around until about 3:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Well, you've been to my house, Jeff. I know Jim hasn't. So my deck of my house is completely rebuilt. It used to be like this 12 by 12 thing that kind of hung off the side of my house. It was only attached on one end of my house. So now I got it redone because it needed to, because it was actually like super sketchy and dangerous before. So now it's like 30 by, I don't know, 15 is the attachment to the house. I put my scope up on there. And I think that's one of the reasons that I had poorer results being up on the deck this time than I had in the past. Since my deck is attached to the house the entire length of the deck, I feel like at 2000 millimeter, me just moving around in the house was jiggling that telescope out there, because my data is not that clean. Like, let me see if I can pull some of it up. And I was even taking like short shots. Okay, here we go. It's all in Dropbox. Oh, we're still recording here. Okay, screen share, screen 2, share it. You guys should be able to see a window open right here.
Yeah, we see your menu.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is like, and we'll just use my ring data here. These are all short shots. I mean, you can see looking at 30 seconds ISO 800. They're not doing much, but I think it's probably trying to open up Photoshop because it's a raw. Yeah, here we go. This must have updated today. This is taking forever. Yeah, okay. So here's my ring. Like, those stars, they're pretty fuzzy if you're looking at them.
Yeah.
But they're fuzzy in a peculiar way. You know what I'm saying? Like, there wasn't like atmosphere during these photos. How do I move this dude? There we go. Zoom in on this. Because there's obviously enough exposure here to get the data, because that front star is showing up in that photo, but everything just looks like trash. So let me see if it'll let me open the next night. So what I did the next night was I paid way more attention to the way the focus was getting handled. Let's go to one of the later shots here. It should come up reasonably quickly. Or not. There we go. So you can see here, there's trailing in this shot. It's just not good. Like, why did I start trailing?
Is it trailing, or does it look like it was bumped, so to speak?
That looks more like a trail. That's a trail. I'm not happy with anything that I got. And well, here, this one's not so bad. But still at the same time, like, so this night, let me make sure I go away, zoom. This was the 13th, so this was the second night. I had the focus a lot better, but I still have the same, it's just ugly. And they're all oblong in the same way, you know what I'm saying? It could be collimation, but I'm guessing that it was me walking around in the house and collimation together. That's why I'm saying I'm putting that telescope down for the year, for the summer. Even though this is awesome that M13 is this big on my camera sensor. That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
There's just too many things going on that drive me nuts about it. Whereas let me go up here. I probably have some. Oh, they're going to be on the Cat's Eye server. If you guys are not into this, you should check it out. We that's right, I took them off of there. This is like a server that Paul ripped out of a place that they wanted him to throw away, and he kept it. But it's actually down at Cat's Eye Distillery. So we keep a lot of shared raw image data on there if you ever want to monkey around and check out what other people are doing. This is, we have to go into cold storage here. Got to figure out where I put all those. So I did take them off of John's server. There we go. Exact same week the year before. So there's 2 minutes on the Veil Nebula. And I mean, you could tell. And Jeff, you were there the night we broke my camera. So I've got all these hot pixels in it. But dude, the stars here are way cleaner. Just looking at them.
Yeah.
I mean, any errors in them they're not identically shaped. It's just down to atmosphere. And this is 2 minutes compared to 30 seconds, you know? So I want to try to do a different focuser, well, a better focusing solution for that 2000 millimeter scope. And to me, that means that if I know that I can get proper focus on there, then the weakest link in that case is going to be my mount, so long as that I calibrate or collimate that telescope first before I really get crucial about it. So if I got a collimated locked mirror and a robo focuser that, like I can leave rock steady and focus from a distance, if I still get those results on it, then it's down to my mount. And I think it's probably my mount. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, yeah.
Because my guide's good.
I've been carrying that collimator around in my van for weeks now.
I did it. I'm still sitting on your 2 planet cams.
So do you go into the store or anything anymore?
I'm home every Wednesday. I mean, so like we can meet up every Wednesday. Stores, I have 5 stores, so I'm in different stores all the time. And there's not like a good rotation because I can only go to the stores 4 days a week. So it's pretty random when I'm going to be one place versus another. But every Wednesday I'm home.
Well, this Wednesday probably won't work because I work from home Wednesday. But next Wednesday, I think that, I don't know what I'm doing next Wednesday. But this month is the last month they're letting us work from home. So.
And you got to go back in.
Yeah.
I'm permanently hybrid, so they want us staying home on Wednesdays because they want us to be telemarketers on Wednesdays, which is horrible. I'm home every Wednesday. Or this week, I'll be at the Elmore store on Friday. If you remind me Thursday night, I'll throw your cameras in my truck. We can switch off.
Could do that. Yeah, Friday I took the day off. I've got some errands to run, so that could work.
Yeah, I'd like to collimate it. I mean, if I collimate it and I get one of those focusers from somebody and still not happy with it, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice to get that focuser before, well, you have to collimate it no matter what, but
Yeah, I'd collimate it and lock it.
yeah, it'd be nice though if you could lock it so that whatever focuser you end up with, you're at a midpoint. So you've got equal amount of in and out focus.
Yeah, true. I probably do need the focuser first. Because you have to put the rear target has to go in the focuser, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll
I'm
talk.
gonna have to.
Go ahead, Doc. We're just monkeying around now anyway. We're just
I'm
BS.
gonna have to shut this down soon.
Yeah, we'll see if we stay on after you shut down. If we go away, I'll catch you guys all later.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't see. Can I at least stop the recording?